Right
Ready to
at
go?
it.
Yo, YouTube. Welcome to the best live card show in the business. It's me with Dollar Box Adam with Charlie and my man Stu. They're back with us this week. We
Yes.
have we did
Thank you
have
for
some.
covering.
Yeah, no problem. It went a little easier than I thought. I'm getting pretty good at some of this camera stuff. So, or at least,
Uh-oh.
uh,
Uh-oh,
or
that
at least,
sounded like you don't need me anymore.
no, not even close. Not even close. But no, it was really good. We had great chat participation and that really helped. It didn't feel like I was just talking to myself, which I think that's the hardest part for me if I was doing it by myself is like
Sure.
truly by myself is who are you talking to, you know?
Right.
When I'm recording videos, I can kind of go back and clean it up a little bit and you're not speaking with someone instantly directly, so it's a little less of that, but no, I was very thankful. We had great participation, and it was a lot of fun. I thought we had a pretty good show.
For sure. But I did watch, you still had our man Stu helping out.
Yeah, of course, of course. Yeah, just because you were sick doesn't mean that the goat couldn't,
That's right. That's
couldn't
right.
participate. So I'm
The
glad I'm
goat's
glad you're
gonna
feeling
stand
better.
anything.
Right? Yeah, exactly. What are we gonna do when he loses his voice? It's gonna be really weird.
I don't think that's ever gonna happen.
He runs out of batteries.
What?
I
Mind
don't know.
blown.
I was thinking of opening them up and being like, what kind of batteries does he take? We should buy like a case of these so that we're never, on the out.
I'm sure it's like a watch battery or something.
It's got, yeah, well, yeah, it has to be one of those tiny ones. So, speaking of that, we had my wife's garage door opener started to not work real well when you would click it, some of the signs of
Yeah.
the dying battery. Of course, we didn't have any of those laying around, so I had to go buy. And that's kind of what made me think of it. I'm like, man, you should just have those on hand, so when that stuff dies. I have a big pack. I have a Wi-Fi garage door opener, so
Okay.
I can open the garage door from my phone and all that stuff. And that has like a little sensor that you put on your door. And I
Hmm.
bought like a big pack of batteries for that thing, but I never thought to buy them for the actual opener, like in the
Of
cars.
course. Yeah.
So yeah, and of course they're not the same ones, right? That would be way too easy.
Way
Um,
too easy.
they almost look the exact same, little boxes, but there's no reason to have the same size battery. That would be insane.
Yep.
So,
Yep.
but anyway, so you feeling better, huh?
Yeah, it was a rough day for me last week. That the day of our show was the hardest day I was hit, and
Hmm.
I I slept probably 16 hours of the day. And
That's
then I got
awesome.
up and
Yeah,
had a dinner and I went right back to sleep.
yeah, I've done that too. The older I get, the more I realize that nope, I just have to fold it up for today, and unless you really have something pressing that you have to try to get through it, but otherwise, nope. I take when we were kids, it was always pushed upon us like they gave an award in school if you didn't miss a day of school. How dumb is that?
Yeah.
Um, it was always pressed upon us. Oh, you just get through it, and then you get everybody else sick, and like the whole thing was just stupid.
Right.
And of course, as you get older, it gets harder to get over a sickness as quick as
It
possible, or
does.
even get through it. So yeah, I'm glad you took the time. I had no issue. You let me know real early in the morning, which I appreciate. So at least I could kind of put something together. And
Yeah.
think we had a good show. The chat held us up, and we all missed you. So we're glad you're back. And it was nothing major, right? It was just a normal.
Just seasonal cold hit me pretty
Yep.
hard. That was all. You mentioned it too in the show, and we had talked about it. But on my football team, like every week, there was a rotation of two or three different kids that were getting sick all the time. And then my two boys both went through it, and my wife went through it. So it was
Hmm.
just a matter of time before I got it. And I was pretty fortunate. It took a couple months before it took me out for a day, but when it hit pretty hard.
Yeah, I had it too, but mine it was probably you're probably right. It was probably about a month ago. And yeah, same thing. I slept a bunch and I just felt like crap for a day and probably 2 days more like, but um yeah, it's just it is what it is. Especially if you got kids and like there's all that stuff that travels around, which you can't do a whole lot about.
Yeah.
But anyway, so this week's show, I kind of sent you some topics. We didn't really discuss it ahead of time, but kind of want to talk about a little bit about, okay, now we've got our eBay business and we know how to add stuff on and, some tricks on how to get some sales and things like that. Now I wanted to sort of try to take a next step a little bit and talk about what do we do with this business we've built? How do we get it out there so that people want to shop with us and get some growth outside of eBay and so forth. So I want to talk a little bit about hooking up some social media aspects to eBay and what that can look like and what you and I do and don't do and so forth.
That sounds
Um,
like marketing.
it does, and now it's kind of my second topic: advertising, marketing, same thing. What are some tools you can get into to help with that? Um, I don't want to go into that too depth right now, but I have a couple things that I wanted to talk about with that. And what was the third topic? I don't remember anymore.
Buying lots online.
That's right, lots online. I think we've touched on this before, but the main reason I wanted to cover that is we're kind of getting into some show slowdown seasons, at least in our area, because it's the snow comes and all those kind. We got the holidays, so a lot of places don't bother doing a show in the month of December and so forth. So I thought, well, maybe it'd be a good time to kind of talk about what's the alternatives to that shopping platform, which I think is both of our favorite way to pick up some cards. I did also go to the Appleton show this past week, and I just released the video like 2 hours ago. Got a little off track this week, just doing some other things. As you know, I live in the woods, so we have 3 seasons here. We have snow, we have leaves. Wait, no, it goes leaves, snow, and then leaves. Those are our 3 seasons.
You forgot about construction season.
And yeah, but I don't really see that where I live though. Not in the woods anyway. But anyway, we're on to like one of our major leaf seasons. So I started looking outside and I was like, man, I gotta get, because I mulch and I try to do that kind of stuff. So to blow leaves out of the gardens, and I'm on a hillside, so I have all this landscaping stuff I got to get around and all that. So anyway, so that took some time this week, and then we're just about done with the movie theater. Can you believe it?
Yeah.
I can't. But we got all the built-ins in and the lighting in, and to surprise me while I was gone to the card show, Bree set up a lot of my props and toys and display stuff in there, which was awesome. So I got all these things out of boxes that had been sitting in there for a few years, and then today we found carpeting. So
Okay.
I'm like a discount or blowout carpeting kind of deal. So we had to go pick that up. So I'm like,
Can we
man,
say the name?
can you say what name?
Can we say the name where you found it?
Oh, Mohawk
Oh,
Flooring.
okay. Okay.
Yeah,
Otherwise, I had a great experience with a local place near you that I would have recommended.
yeah. And I bought the plank flooring that looks like wood, but of course it's not wood because you wouldn't put wood on a concrete floor in a basement. But anyway, that flooring I actually bought at a discount flooring place too, over off of Holmgren Way in Green Bay. So
Okay.
we've been fortunate. We've been able to find some stuff, in the right quantities of what we needed to
Yeah.
put that together. But because I already have the power recliners, the theater chairs,
Mm-hmm.
and they're in my future office down there because we had to have somewhere to put them. We're like, well, let's get them out of there because then we can finish my office and I can move my stuff down there, and then my office up here is going to become like a workout room kind of thing, yoga room and stuff. Anyway, so I'm like, well, I really don't want to bring all the, there's 9 chairs. I don't really want to bring all 9 power recliners into that room and then take them all out to put carpet in. And
Sure. Yeah.
I'm like, it wasn't the best time, as far as like spending the money on it and stuff, but it was like, we got a good deal. It was carpet we really liked. I think it's going to be super cool, and we can get that done and then get the chairs in and just be done with all that. I just got to set up the projector and the audio, and it's good to go. So I'm
I look forward to the invite.
Yeah, so we're gonna gotta figure out what we want to watch on it first. I put a theater in my last house. I don't know if you knew that, but we watched, I think, Jurassic Park for the first movie, which is, that's a fantastic one to do on there. Was it Jurassic Park or Goonies? Yeah, I don't even remember now, but um, super dorky. We had a party and we made like golden movie tickets, which was like a permanent pass to come see any movie anytime.
Really?
It was just fun. It didn't have as much seating in there. It was much smaller. This one's going to be a lot nicer for the experience and stuff. Nicer chairs and all that. So some decent upgrades at least. But just excited to get back into it and get my office down there. So I'm gonna have my man bath and my kitchen and
Your
my
man bath.
my man bath, my urinal, and it's got my urinal and
Is that
my
where you do all your
bidet
exfoliating at?
in it. Yeah, exactly. That's what the kids are calling it, sure. And then I've got my little dining area with my hookah, and I got the movie theater, and it's gonna be baller. I'm
And you get
super
your game
excited for it.
room.
Yeah, I got my arcade down there, which right now has stuff in it, of course. So it'll be
Yep.
nice to get the things back out of that. Some of it is stuff I got to resell, some donations. Like I'm going to be bringing some toys to our December show
Yeah.
to try to sell because it's 2 weeks before Christmas. It'll be perfect to get some of that out there, and if I can get rid of some of it for some cash and get it out of the way, I'm super happy to do that. So
Yeah.
I might just bring a big bin that I put on the side of the table and it's got stuff in it. I'm like, make me an offer.
Sure.
Keep it real simple. If it seems reasonable, sure, here, have it.
Right.
I mean, I did okay with those Funko Pops. I sold like 4 or 5 of them at that one show that I brought them
Yeah.
to. So, and I have a bunch of those yet too. But yeah, it's just time to kind of pare that down and get it set up the way I really want it. So, yeah, so I'm excited. But we have all the furniture, everything is in, and we have one piece of lighting we have to get. Um, I think that's it. Well, we have to do all the trim. So like all the floor trim, all the trim around the main door to the theater needs to be done. So it's some of those, so a little bit of that finishing work stuff. But yeah. So anyway, that's where I'm at. And I've been doing that every morning. I've been going down there working on a little bit of that and getting
Sure.
stuff cleaned up and picked up and put away. And it'll be nice to not have to do that anymore. All right, so we have some activity in the chat. Let's say hi to some of our people. We've got the bargain boxer here, and he says, "Screw Adam, screw Chuck. Where's Stuart?" That's all. That's what we get. Chuck who? Adam who? Right on. Good for you, Stuart. You would bask in that glory.
That's right.
Good evening, gentlemen and ruffians. Can we
I
be
like
both?
that.
I think I can be both. I do a little bit of both, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yo, glad you're back, Charlie. Cardboard
you.
Critters. Cardboard Critter says, happy to have you back with us, as we all are. Bargain Boxer, right off the bat, he has a question for us. Do
Right to
you have
business.
do you have a Grail card, and what is it? I do. You?
I do not have a true Grail card. I've got a couple cards that I'm kind of holding on to that I'm not real excited to think about selling. And I kind of price with my I don't want to sell price.
Yeah.
But I don't really have a Grail card per se.
I do. I'm close to it. I have a card that's close to it. My Grail card would be a 1997 Lear Metal, the green precious metal gems numbered to 10. So I have the red version, which is numbered. It's technically numbered to 100, but the first 10 are green. So really, the red is out of 90, or is it 150? I think it's 100. I have to go back and look. I haven't looked at that card in a while, but I do have that one. So I'm close to my Grail, but I would love the green one. I missed out on bidding on one before the price boom, and it was like 6,000 or 7,000. So it's not a cheap card, and I just didn't bite the bullet on it, and that was a big mistake because it's probably like 20 or 30 grand raw now.
Really?
I would imagine. Yeah. Yep. Pretty hot set that stands the test of time. He's got another question for us. Where are the card number on the Star Wars Series 1 cards? Are you talking like the blue Starfield cards, like the original 1977s? Because they're on the front bottom corner.
Yeah, I didn't recall them being really
So,
hidden or anything.
mhm.
Let me see here.
They're not on the back like most sports cards are. They numbered them on the front. I don't know why. It was just the way they did it, but yeah, if that's the site you're referring to, Star Wars Series 1, um, that would be my feedback on that. If you can't find one, Charlie, I can dig one out too. I got a bunch of them.
Yeah, I think I just have the inserts next to me right now, the Star Files ones. I don't have
Mhm.
the actual Bluefield one.
Yeah, the Star Files are actually from the Empire Strikes Back set.
You're
So
right. You're right.
that
Yeah.
that would have been from 1980. The
Yeah.
77s are the Blue Starfield.
I thought I had a couple here, but maybe I sold them already. Nope.
Yep, but yeah, if that's the site you're referring to, and they're in the bottom left corner of the card. Value Box Digger says, "Good to see you back, Charlie. Great
You?
screen name. Great screen name, by the way."
Yeah.
Sometimes when I think about the dollar box, I think, "Oh, I missed the boat." As you could, I'm not always buying out of the dollar box, but that was like when I was a kid. That was like the thing. Everybody had a dollar box. You were always trying to get a dollar for a card, Um, so I don't know. It just made me think of that because the 10 cent and 25 cent cards, like nobody put those out. It was like, who's gonna
Yeah.
want these? Who's gonna want this stuff? Because there was no way to really resell it, to find like a buyer for that type of card. Um, unless it was a Packer card, something in our area or whatever. So it was a little different without the internet back in the day. Tom says his grail is 89 starting lineup football Thurman Thomas in gem mint, still seeking super condition sensitive black borders that bounced around in display packaging. Yeah, that sounds terrible. Black bordered cards that came out of packs are tough to get good grades on. So yeah, I can't even imagine the starting lineup blacks. That's got to be a tough one. Good
Yeah.
luck. Hope you
Those
find
get
hope you find one.
they get they're so condition sensitive. Any solid color like borders or backgrounds,
Hmm.
like you get so much flaking and chipping on them. It's really hard to keep them from getting that.
Yeah, big time. Good.
Tops Archives does that a lot, and it drives me nuts. It looks
Yeah,
sharp. I got to say that, but trying to keep them in pristine condition, it can be kind of tough.
yeah, they get chipping and stuff like that from the paint application, and
Yeah.
yeah, not so good. Tom says he's glad to see you survive, Charlie. So that's
Or did I? Am I
that's good.
maybe just a
The
zombie?
the Walking Dead. Not close to any of the SSP and low numbered stuff, but that's why we list and ship and list. Yep, you got to keep working it. It's a grind. Somebody made a comment on one of my videos this week and said, "Wow, that's a lot of work for a small profit." And I just replied, "Yep,
It is. Yeah.
it's, you're not wrong, but that's how it is." And then it's all volume from there.
Right.
So you know 30 cents isn't much, but multiply that by, a couple hundred and, now you've got something. So yeah,
Yep.
it's all about that grind. Love watching bargain box videos. I went to my first card show in 20 years and ran into tons of boxes to dig through. Lucky you, because they weren't around for a long time. It was a build over the last couple of years. Anyway, and nostalgia galore for you, but how do you not get a stiff neck? Sometimes I do.
Yeah.
There's a lot of times I don't realize how much a show can take out of me sometimes, and I'll get home and I'll just want to pass out in my chair.
Yeah.
Now I'm also an old man and I'm not in good shape, so those are a couple of bad combos as well. But it's just intense, and I feel the pressure of, okay, if I dig through this box and it takes this long, am I missing an opportunity somewhere else? And where's Charlie? I got to make sure I get to the box before Charlie does. And um, there's a lot piled on in that situation that makes it very interesting. I've
Yeah.
been doing this. I've been doing this long enough now that I know that the outcome by the end of the show will be good, and I'll have a good show. So I just kind of chill and let it go. But yeah, you got to kind of work up to that a little bit.
Yeah, for sure. Like if you talk to me 2, 3 hours into a card show, I'm not the most talkative guy by that point,
Mhm.
and that's because I'm in pain. The back,
Yeah,
the shoulders, and the neck, they're all burning at that point.
yeah, and I always backpack a show. I don't carry a lot of weight, but I have a little bit of camera equipment in there. I always have some business cards. I have a pen, a marker, a pen, my box to put cards in.
Yep.
As I buy cards, I put those in the bag, which of course starts making it heavier. So, yeah, a few hours in, yeah, it can be. Wait until you go to the national, Charlie, and you do it 5 days straight.
Yeah.
You need like a week off after that. It's just brutal. It's
Well,
super
no, because
fun.
you go through your training regimen to get through it, right?
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Yeah, I do my hills and my stair climbs and my sprints and
You got the
yeah,
training montage music playing in the background.
yeah,
Getting
a little bit,
strong now.
yeah, a little Rocky and yeah, a little Eye of the Tiger and yeah, I'm
Yeah.
ready to go. So yeah, and this national is going to be even more interesting because we can't just go back to the hotel. Which, granted, this last show didn't have air conditioning, so that sort of made it impossible to be there for all 10 hours. But it is nice to be able to just take a little break, go back to your room, and drop stuff off, whatever, get something to drink. Um, Not going to happen now. We're going to be there, so until we take an Uber back to the hotel. So
Right.
yeah, I don't know. Smaller venue though, so it's not quite as much foot traffic, I guess, to try to get through. But is Charlie AI? I don't know. Are you
Hard to say, right?
the is
Like
the artificial part true, but the intelligent isn't, or is it vice versa? Or
do you see any glitching?
yeah, Matrix, like what is it? Wayne and Garth, right?
Yeah, skidaloop, skidaloop, skidaloop. It's a Scooby Doo flashback thing, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. AI video and voice Charlie. That's not a bad idea. Maybe I'll have to AI you so that when you can't be around for
Yeah,
whatever
like
reason, we're
Max
good to
Headroom.
go. I, I I would venture to guess at some point you're gonna have to do the show without me. So we'll see.
Yeah,
We'll see how that goes. But hopefully not for a while or for any terrible reason.
yeah. For everybody's sake, I hope not.
Yeah. Probably could do it with all the time in live. Just throw you in the AI learning, and next thing we know,
Yeah,
Charlie's hosting his own show. You never know. So
probably not
it's
far
funny
from
that you mentioned that Tom mentions this because there's a channel I've been watching for a while. It's like the top junk wax football sales for the week or whatever. And the guy, he's a computer guy, like that's what he does for a living. And he would host this thing and talk about it. So the number 25 card that sold this week was this Dan Marino insert or whatever.
it. Yeah,
Not his voice anymore. He now has AI just read it for him. So I don't know
really.
if he just types it out or whatever. Yeah, and I hate it. I just hate it. I don't like how the AI talks, and I don't
Yeah,
I don't like that fake reporter voice.
yeah,
And that's what it is. So I don't know. So now I don't even watch the channel anymore. It's like you literally lost a viewer because of switching to the AI, but I guess it's less time on his watch. 3 hours is my limit dumpster diving. Yeah. I'd say I can go a little longer than that. I'd say like 4 to 4.5 hours is about as long as I'd go, and then I'd have to take a significant break, a lunch break or a sit down and, get off the feet break, whatever. But yeah, and he points out here that he's 60, and exactly, I just turned 46, and even at 46, I'm like, need some breaks in there somewhere. But you know what? There's nothing wrong with that. It's not like
yeah.
you have to be digging for 10 hours. Like if you're losing all the fun and you're having some physical problems doing it, like then you should not be doing it. Like, I don't know.
Unless you see Adam at the card show, because then you have to get the box before he does.
Yes, yeah. Well, you got to try to because if there's meat on the bone, I'm taking that meat. But think about like even like let's say you have a job where you sit at a desk all day. Do you sit there for like all 9 hours? No,
No,
I don't think anybody
I
does. You get
gotta
up,
have
walk
my body.
around. Yeah, so I don't really see anything that I do where I have a 10-hour day where I'm just doing something for 10 hours. Like I don't know, it doesn't seem really possible.
Right.
Even if you're not 60 years old or 46 years old. Um, yeah, even in my younger years, I don't know that I did that. Even I played a lot of big soccer tournaments where I'd be playing 3 games in a day. It sounds insane. And even at that young, youthful spirit age, it was like, man, I'd sleep for like a whole day after that.
Yeah.
Just stuff like just wipes you out. MD Sports Cards is here. Welcome. He says, "Sorry, I'm late."
Yeah.
You are not. You are not late.
Shame.
We have.
Shame. Shame.
Yeah, shame. We need a shame hammer or whatever. The
Right?
spell thing. Yeah, that's not a bad idea. No, we'll get the little broom one, right? Where you like
Yep.
it's yeah.
Yep.
No, you're not late. We're going to be on here for another 6 hours, so you're good to go.
6 hours? I'm still recovering, man.
We just talked about how we could do this for 8 hours, right? Before we have to just turn your AI on when you're done, and
Right,
we'll go
right.
from
There
there.
you go. Hit the
We'll work
switch.
with the AI. Um, all right, so we kind of got everybody welcomed in the chat here. Let's talk about some things we've got going on each on our sides of the eBay card world. Couple major things for me. I'm going to be approaching 10,000 feedback pretty soon. I just hit 9,100 today, and it's not. While that sounds like that's a far way away from 10,000, I get like over 100 a week.
Yeah.
So within 2 months, I should be over the 10 grand. So
Nice.
that's kind of exciting. Um, Another thing I did was I updated my dollar box logo. I have a friend who works in graphic design, and I just kind of wanted to refresh it, have it a little bit more legible, apply a little bit more to what I was doing. So you'll see my new logo on the channel, my new logo on eBay, and things like that. So I think that was kind of a big change. Ordered some new business cards. They're going to look a lot different, a lot more fun, more color. So I'm excited about that. This was what if you haven't seen my business cards before, this is what they did look like. So the little black, they're two-sided. I have a little black box up here that has my name, my email, and then a QRC code to scan, which takes you to my eBay store. And then I had my long eBay URL at the bottom. And then the other side is for my YouTube channel. So my personal information in the black on the bottom here, QRC code, and then my YouTube channel. Well, a couple different things changed. So I was waiting until I was running out of business cards so that I could do that all at once. But here's my little logo up here, which is just this little green box, really hard to read, doesn't really stand out. So that's been updated. Um, then another big step I took this week, I bought a URL to my store. So I bought the dollarbox.shop. That is my web address. So if you type in the dollarbox.shop, it'll take you directly to my eBay store. And it's the consumer version of it. So it has the searching, it has the categories split up and all that. Then my YouTube link that I had on here was like my long string URL for my YouTube channel. But a couple months ago, YouTube assigns you your own like quick path now. It's like youtube.com at and then my name. Um, youtube.com at the dollar box must be. Anyway, you'll see it on the cards. I don't remember what it is now. But that was, that was on my card previous to when that was assigned. So I had all kinds of stuff to update. So updated the design and everything. So I'm pretty excited about that. Was that something you'd consider doing at all?
You know, we got to
They're
remember
they're not
that,
real cheap.
yeah,
Do you
we
think
got to
business cards are
remember
cheap or not?
that your business is what, 3 years ahead of my business? 2 or 3 years, something like that. So I am not at
Probably
the,
about three.
yeah, so I am not anywhere near the scale you're at.
Hmm.
So no, I like all those things that you do with your marketing are not even like considerations for me yet. I think I'm quite a ways away from that yet.
Yeah, so I mean, basically now we're talking. We might as well be talking about the advertising and marketing
Yeah,
topic that we wanted to cover anyway. I sort of launched us into it unintentionally in the beginning there. Just got excited with my feedback score, but um, yeah, I think that's part of it. I think to stand out, you start doing promotions and you start doing coupons, which my coupon has been really really successful. So I'm excited about that. And that's getting me a lot more multi-card sales, which of course, maximizes your profit.
yeah,
You don't have the additional fees. Going to continue to work with that, but yeah, and now that I do have real time to get dedicate to this, I would really want to sit down, create a logo, created the cards myself. Um, I used somewhat of a template plan, but then I kind of go build them myself, and so I like putting some of my own artwork. Um, my graphic design skills, whatever you want to call it, into it. I do need to make a new intro video for YouTube with the new logo. Haven't had a chance to do that yet. That's a little more involved because it moves. At the beginning of my videos where it has like investing and collecting and stuff like that with my little green dollar sign logo. Got to update that with the new version. So um, that's going to take me some time, but yeah, I think all those things are important to try to, because remember, one of the things that I don't want to be the cheapest seller on eBay. I want to be a reliable seller and a seller who has a lot, has the products when you want them, fast shipping. Like I want a brand. I want to be a
yeah,
brand with on the eBay. So part of that is having a logo and having some business cards and having a. The other thing I like about business cards is a lot of times when I'm at shows, people see that I have the camera on and they'll say, "Oh, do you have?" Yes, I have a YouTube. And instead of trying to give them the link and have them right, I hand them this. They can scan the code. Done.
yeah,
Sometimes I give somebody this. They scan the code and hand it back to me, so it doesn't even cost me any. I get to use it again. Um, so it can just be a nice piece for that. At the
right,
national, I took a nice stack of them, and at the national, I kind of strewed them up about on some tables, which is pretty common. Um, for other, a lot of other people will do that with their brand information. Um, yeah, so, and I have a ton of repeat shoppers. I have customers that come back and buy again. And I think the cards do help with that. It at least gives them, oh, hey, I bought this card. I don't remember who I bought this card from. It's really hard to follow a seller on eBay, I think, um, to quickly just pull it up, unless I guess you could go to your previous purchase and then go to that seller. But this way, like if they're like, yeah, hey, that was really cool and it was a good deal, and they just stick this aside on their desk, when they're shopping next time, they can quick scan that, go right to my store. So, um, but a two-sided, which I couldn't imagine not doing two-sided since I have YouTube to advertise and eBay to advertise. I don't know why I wouldn't want to put it on like each one on a single card by any measure. Plus, that would cost more, of course. You'd have to have double. But it's a two-sided color card is like 2 cents a piece, almost 2 cents a piece, at a 5,000 quantity. And I go through pretty much the cheapest printer out there. Um, I use Got Print for my cards. I'd had them do my Star Wars trading cards
hmm,
for years. They do a good job. You get stuff pretty quick, quality, all that good stuff. But also the best prices. So, um, yeah. So business cards, I think that's a good step, and it's super easy. Just pack up the card, you throw the business card in with it, you send it out.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. For me, I'm still about exploring the free marketing tools out there. So,
Hmm.
linking my store with my business social media page, doing some videos to post some cards out there and talk about. I wanna start doing some coupons. I haven't done any yet. That's probably the next thing I want to start doing.
Yeah.
Obviously, working through the promotions, we've talked about that quite a bit on the show in the past. So I'm still looking to max those out to until at least I grow enough where my monthly eBay fees are not an issue anymore.
Hmm.
Right now with the subscription, I am clearing a profit every month, but that's what $22 a month I just added in the last couple months, and I need to make sure that I'm clearing that every month before I start buying other things.
Yeah, absolutely. You're going to have to increase some sales to increase your spending.
Yeah,
You know?
yeah,
Yeah, so that's a fair statement. Another thing that I kind of looked into, but I sort of hate it because I used to do this when I used to sell stuff on Amazon. But eBay has a per click promotion option, and that's just terrifying because you
yeah,
could have 100 people click on that card, and if nobody buys it, you still got to pay. I
right.
like I like the fact that anything that's other than my monthly store fee, I like the fact that all my eBay fees are tied to a sale. So I can
Yeah,
really, to some degree, I can control what that's going to cost me. Um, but I might try it with, I think it applies better for like maybe a hot card or a bigger card or something like that, where
yeah,
you're going to get a bunch of eyes on it and you just really want to max out the amount of bids you get on it. Hey, I got this Acuna 101 rookie MVP this year, bid on this thing. Um, I don't really think it applies to what we're selling, I guess.
yeah.
So I haven't seen that fitting in yet.
I gotta backtrack here for a second to something you said. You were talking about, you didn't want to be the cheapest seller on eBay. You wanted to
Hmm.
build a brand and have a price point respective of the quality that you're offering. And you kind of sold me on that idea too. When I first started this, I was spending way too much time looking for how I could be the I forgot to plug in my laptop here. On how I could be the cheapest seller so I could be the first one on everybody's search list, right? But you changed my mindset on that. Okay, I found the power cord. Saving the day.
Yeah.
Um
You got
and
better light now too.
Right. And before the show, I was kind of looking at my performance metrics on eBay. And something of note on that topic is my sales are up, but my average sale price is up as well because
Hmm.
I took your advice. I started listing my things a little bit higher, give me more room for promotions, more room to negotiate. And even though my price point is higher now than it was 6 months ago when I started, my sales are still growing.
Hmm. Yeah, and I don't. The grind is great, but I still want to try to maximize my profit
Right.
on every sale. Like you're I shouldn't put it this bluntly, but you're kind of a moron if you don't. I mean, that literally the reason I'm going to buy this card is to try to resell it to make as much
Right.
money as I can on it. Now, that with the understanding that, okay, I'm going to have to market this and I'm going to have to
Yeah.
promote this, and you still have to pay to you still have to find a buyer, and you have to pay other parties to get that to that point. But I sell a ton of cards at my full price, so my prices are not ridiculous by any measure.
Right.
Um, but yeah, to try to give me some negotiation points. I have like once in a while I'll try to buy I'll buy let's say I find a dollar box, right? And I find 50 cards out of it and I'll say, hey, well you take $40 for those 50 cards, right? And they wanted a buck a piece. And the dealer will reply to me, oh no, those I have priced those way under what I would normally price them for. They're already a good deal. I need a dollar a piece. And I'm like, you didn't do this right then.
Yeah.
You should have had them at like $2 cards, and then I don't know. I like bargaining room because that's part of the fun.
It
I
is.
want people to bargain with me. I want to bargain back with them. I want to have that leeway if they're going to buy, multiple cards that I can sell them cheaper because I can cut out the fees and I can save them money. Yet I can still,
Yep.
make the best profit I can make on that. So, um, And yeah, and building that brand allows you to do that, because if you give the customers will pay more for the faith they have in something.
Yeah, and I'm starting to
So,
see that in some feedback too. I'm starting to get a lot of comments about no surprises on condition, great to work with, fast shipping. Those are all the things that are going into my brand, and
mhm,
are going to get me return customers in the long run. And thinking back to why I was chasing, being a low price leader at first, I think I was kind of scared to death of having inventory just sit forever. And
mhm.
it took me a while to get to a comfortable place to say it's okay if it sits for a while. We talk about there's a buyer for everything. It just takes a while to find that person sometimes.
Yeah, the catch to this business is you do have to put some capital into it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have, 32,000 listings. I probably have another, 15 or 20,000 cards to get on yet.
Yeah.
Um, some of them quantity, some of them new listings. Those weren't free. Like I had to pay, I mean, you have to, luckily I had a bunch of stuff from, that I'd accumulated over the years, and you kind of jumpstart yourself with some of your leftover PC stuff or packs you bought when you were a kid, whatever. But you need to take that, you need to grow on that and get that capital in there. I didn't start this business in day one, quit my job, and this is what I do. It was years of putting this together before I go, okay, yep, I can make actual money on this now, and by going full time, I can actually make more because I can focus on it and get into the growth, and the business has more demands now. I so Monday's my big packing day. I've gotten to the point now where I have like my normal daily schedule down, since I've been doing this for a few months. And so Bree knows. She's like, I know, Monday, don't bother you for anything. It's just pack day. And that's pretty much what I do. I put some stuff on, on YouTube in the background, and I got my phone and my wheelie chair, and I'm just pulling cards and shipping them out. I started at quarter after eight. So I got my daughter on the bus, came up, started at quarter after eight. I finished packing at quarter to seven at night. That's how many orders I
That's a
had.
day.
Yeah. It was a lot of cards. So, yeah, you have to be able to plan for that. If you're going to go for that growth, and you're going to advertise, and you're going to promote, and you're going to get more sales,
Yeah.
you have to fulfill them. So I think that's the part that can be the hardest. I would love to just take all day Monday and list more stuff and get more sales, but you have to complete the transactions that are already out there,
Yeah.
to maintain that brand and have that. And that's one of like some people, including another big seller that I know, say, well, I wouldn't do 1 day shipping. I do 3 day shipping, and I thought about that, but I like the discount, right? I get a discount on my fees because I offer 1 day shipping,
Yeah.
which helps pay for the promoted listing fees, by the way. Kind of how I see it. You get a 10% discount on your final value fee as a top seller plus, and with 1 day shipping. And I don't want to give that up. The other thing I was thinking is, now when I ship, the reason I have that much to ship on Monday is because it's a good chunk of sales from Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, because 1 day shipping is business days.
Yeah.
So anything that sells on Friday, I don't technically have to ship till Monday. Can you imagine if I waited 3 days all the time? You know,
Yeah.
I would just count. And it's fine for 1 day a week. I can sit down Monday and do my shipping, but I would not want to do that like a couple times a week.
Yeah.
It's just not. It's not as much fun as doing some listing, working on a logo, ordering some business. Um, looking online for lots. The rest of the week I can sort of buy some time slots in there, um, to do things that are a little more enjoyable than just shipping for 14 hours or whatever the heck it was.
Right.
So
Right.
almost 12 hours. It was almost a 12-hour day, packing and shipping. So, yeah, that's insane. And I'm only at half of where I want to be. So I could have a 24-hour day of packing, at some point. Then
No,
I got to
that's
start.
when you're gonna have to hire some help.
That's correct. So I would like to eventually hire someone who we can split the shifts, right? All right, you ship for 4 hours and I'll list for 4 hours. You list for 4 hours, I'll ship for 4 hours. Um, that's my ideal situation. Um, so we'll see how that
Ideally,
goes.
by then Luna's able to help you.
Yeah, maybe, but she'll want to be paid too. So, and the thing is, I'm a bit of a control freak. So where I struggle is it has to be somebody that I know won't screw it up.
Yep. Yep.
You know, and I make mistakes, and I'm not like forgiving to someone who would make an error. But in the back of my mind, like, oh, this guy got shipped the wrong card or whatever. In the back of my mind, I'm like, I should have just done it myself. Um, that's something that I'm gonna have to get over if and I've been a manager of other employees before, so I understand where, okay, a lot of your time as a manager is just spent cleaning up mistakes from your other people, right? That's kind of part of that job. So I don't know, we'll see, but maybe sooner
Oh, we
than
might have
later
lost
that'll be.
you. You
I'm
froze for
sorry.
a while on my end.
Oh, did you?
Yeah. Yeah.
Huh? Yeah, and you look fine to me.
Well, that's because I
Yeah.
was perfectly still.
Oh, yeah, then maybe that's it. So I'm going to keep talking because clearly, the Max Headroom Charlie over there is having his issue. Um, anyway, and I forgot what I was saying, but
I
yeah. So
understand your sense of humor.
yeah, um, yeah, getting to the point where you have employees, that's terrifying. So we'll see what happens, but
Yeah,
probably
it's very helpful to me because I do have to travel sometimes for work. I'm going to be heading out of town here again here this weekend, but
mm,
it is helpful to me that my wife and my boys will, I can send them a screenshot of some sales I make and they'll ship them out for me while I'm out of town.
that's pretty awesome. Yeah,
Yeah.
I really try not to put it on anybody else in my household. Um, but that might be something I start doing a little bit of too, just to try to move things along, pun intended.
And
Because right now, the
they
biggest
fully
problem,
understand my OCD-ness. So we had multiple days of this is exactly what I do with it before
yeah,
they started helping me out with it.
yeah, and honestly, a lot of it is it's just a mundane, envelope stuffing
Yeah.
task. It's nothing that you need any kind of major training program for something to that effect. But
But you've
um,
spent a lot of time and energy building your brand. Your
mhm.
customers expect it a certain way every time they get the envelope and open it up, right?
Yep, yep, exactly. Yeah, and I want to provide that as best I can, in every situation. So, um, yeah, so growth is getting to an interesting spot. I don't have nearly enough time to list, um, which is essential for the growth part of it. So I don't know. That's kind of where I get stuck sometimes.
Yeah.
Um, and I'll work some longer hours here or there. I'll get up a couple hours early and get some stuff done before the regular day kicks off. And of course, I got this thing going on at my house right now, so that doesn't help. I don't have extra time. It's being used to do those things, and
Yeah.
then those things need to be done. Like um, I can't give that stuff up just to be able to do this. So yeah, definitely nothing while I'm still up in this office. So it would definitely be a few months before I would do anything. I would want to be set up in my bigger office downstairs with like a kitchen area and all that. So if I did have someone, coming over to work, they would be kind of in that area and not in my house. And, um, so, yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
But,
I finally feel like I'm getting back in the listing mode again with football was winding down and now we're done with the season. I remember a few weeks back we were talking about how I was kind of stuck in listing because of time constraints, and I
mhm.
think I was around what was it, 1300 or no 30, what the heck was it? Yeah, it was like 1,300
Yeah,
car listings
13
or something like
something.
that. And I finally, in the last week or so, I've blown past 1,400 now and kind of got rolling again, and back to listing every day. So I imagine that'll keep growing now.
Yeah, and I feel like we're kind of coming into a little bit of a busy spot just because of we kind of talked about this a little bit last week with all the sports sort of coming out at one time here. You got basketball just starting, football's in full swing, baseball's in playoffs. By the way, go Rangers. That's my pick for the baseball season here. Um, but I don't know. But what I can tell you is Santa Claus cards are on fire. This is one order I got today. This is the second order I got today. I pulled some cards right away for tomorrow. Got ahead of the game a little bit before I set up our show tonight.
Is it time for me to start listing my Topps holiday sets?
Yes. Yeah, I like trying to make sure I have products that sort of fit the time of what's going
Yeah.
on too. It was kind of neat too. One of the orders of all those Santa Claus cards, the guy messaged me and he said, "Thank you so much for." He had made me a little bit smaller offer on, less than what I was asking, which I was asking a lot more than what I paid for him anyway. And he was buying a bunch of them, 12 cards, I believe, is what he bought total. And I accepted his offer, and he said, "Thank you so much for doing this. I'm trying to buy these for um, some kids in a hospital program
Oh, that's
uh,
awesome.
that I have, but my budget's like $23. So you allowed me to, make these offers and get them in under my budget." And I was like, "That's great. I'm really happy they're going, somewhere cool." So maybe I'll send some of my Star Wars character cards, my costume cards with it, and a couple stickers, and I'll probably throw in a few extra things because.
Sure.
And that was something that happened to me on Saturday too. I went to the show, or yeah, Saturday. Was it Saturday? No, Sunday was the card show. Um, I was constricted on time because we had a charity event on Sunday. A little boy we had done a cancer benefit for a while ago just finished final treatment. He's completely cancer free. So they're having like a celebration party, and they were like, "Oh, you guys should come back." So I'm like, "Well, I can't miss this." So yeah, so I had put the Star Wars costume back on and went out to that, and that
Oh,
was
you
pretty
actually
cool.
put it on Fritz, right?
No, I didn't do the Wampa. I did the TIE Pilot. TIE
Oh,
Pilot this
okay.
time. Yeah, I got a bunch of costumes. I'm a super nerd.
Okay.
Wait till you see my theater because I have helmets on display and blasters and
Oh,
full mannequins,
I
the
fully expect to
costumes and
see the
half
works.
mannequins. Yeah, it's gonna be pretty fun. I got a lot of my awards in there and autographs I've gotten that actors have sent me and things like that. So that stuff needs to be out. It'll be fun to be able to share that with people again. Should we get back to a little bit of the chat
We
so we're not
probably
getting too
should
far behind?
because one MD Sports is probably saying, "Okay, already. I know I was late."
I know. Yeah, no. Get me in on this chat, people. I've been sitting here. Let's see. Bargain Boxer says his biggest, maybe not biggest, but a big one is when people just cock block the bargain boxes. They just stand there and don't move, and they talk to people. It's annoying. Yeah, I'm not rude, but I kind of don't let that happen. I will literally reach in around somebody and I'll say, "Hey, are you in this box right now?" And that'll generally make them back off. Or I'll grab the box and move it to another area where they're not standing. I've done that a lot. You have to do that a lot at bigger shows like National and stuff. We might have 15 or 20 people at a table. You have to get in there. You got to go work those boxes, um, and not be too shy. Now, if somebody is legit there looking at them, there's a code of ethics with that. You say, "Hey, have you looked at this row yet?" You want to try to give somebody the opportunity. They were there first. Um, but yeah, if they're literally there to just block and not shop in the boxes, you got to either get them out of there or take the box somewhere. Let's see. MD Sports, 100% agree, and that's with everything, not just the bargain boxes from both sides of the table, too. Yeah, exactly. Tom is about to reach his 100th sale. Congratulations, Tom. That's pretty awesome. Just 100 of the first 100,000, right? I mean, we're just building up. Let's see. Parking boxes. Smell of weed mixed with guys who have never showered might be my second pet peeve. Yeah,
For sure.
there's always a lot of weed at shows. It's kind of interesting because it's sports cards. It's not a not a rave. It's not a alternative music concert or anything. So yeah,
I don't
kind
know.
of
Maybe we got
interesting.
to try something. Maybe that'll help with the back and neck pain.
Well, I mean, I'm not against any of that. Whatever it takes for you to feel okay, I'm all in support of.
I would probably go towards gummies though. That'd be my choice if I had.
Yeah, the edibles. Yeah, I'm on. That's the path that I take too. Bargain Boxer says, "How about we all air our pet peeves?" Oh, good lord. I don't think I'm going to do that. Bradley has joined us. Yo, 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 yo. Back to you, Bradley. Thanks for joining us. We got lots to talk about yet, so glad to have you here. Kind of like Seinfeld's airing of grievances.
It's
Yeah.
not Festivus yet though.
No, right. We don't have the poll or anything.
Feats of strength.
Yeah, exactly. No soup for you. It's surprising how often people will pay well above others buy it now. For instance, the PSA 10 Lunar Glow Refractor Drew Jones for $80 on offer. List was $99.99. Thanks me for the deal. Look at buy it nows and they're at like 65. LOL.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it happens.
some people just don't want to dig. That's where the promotion can really help too, because if
Yep.
they see your card first, they might just buy it. They're just gonna buy it and be done with it. Money is relative, okay? That's what I think a lot of people don't. I think it's easy to forget, right? What $20 to you might be very different than $20 to somebody over here, right? So somebody might say, well, it's just $20. It's not worth my time to dig for a better price. I'm just going to buy it. It's a good condition, good seller. I know what I'm getting. It's right here on the top of the list. I'm just going to buy it.
Yeah.
They don't care if they could get it for 15 because that $5 is also time to them, in something else. And maybe they make $280 an hour. What do they care about $20? And they made that in 3 minutes.
Yep.
So to them, that time might have more value than the $5 savings. So don't be afraid to get more for your cards than what somebody else is asking. There's nothing wrong with that. Let's see. So if person searched for the card would have seen 20 way cheaper than mine, but seen it through 2% promoted and boom, make an $80 offer. I was in at 85.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Get that money. Why would anybody pay higher than buy it nows? Is that drunk bidding? I've seen that with auctions too. I've seen auctions go well above a lot of buy it now prices on cards. So you're right. Some of it might just be the thrill of trying to win the bid. They just didn't look at other offerings. They assume if the bidding went that high that that's what it's worth. Who knows?
Yeah.
Ask myself the same thing. I only do buy it now jacked up, so always tons of room on offers. And you'd be surprised how lax some people are. Yeah, exactly. But again, I don't just assume that they're foolish or they're not seeing the other prices. They might just be fine paying that price, and
Yeah.
they can get it right away. It's on the top of the list. They know you're a good seller, and the difference in that money doesn't matter to them that much, so they'll buy it. I mean, some people have gold toilets in their bathrooms, right? So what do they care about? What do they care about $5 on a card? Astros 5, Rangers 2, if anyone cares. No, I want the Rangers to win. Down with the Astros and their cheating garbage cans. Card Hobbyist is with us tonight. He says he had a weird interaction today, had an weird offer interaction today, had an auto listed at $5 and got a $3 offer, countered at 4, and then the buyer countered back at 4.25. Thanks, dude. Nice. I've
Fair
had that
enough.
happen. I've had that happen too, where somebody offers back more than what I sent them an offer on, and I don't know if they just made it an error or they weren't following the offer amounts correctly. I've also had it too, where somebody sends me an offer that I will accept. I go in to accept it, and it won't let me accept it. It'll say this card is not available in the quantity listed or something to that effect. I'm like, what the heck is going on? And then boom, 3 seconds later, I get a notification that they bought it for full price.
Right.
So they didn't even wait for me to respond. So I'm like, oh, okay, dude bought it for full price. Nice. Um, yeah, so I don't know. Again, time has a value, money has a value, and they're not always the same to every person.
Right.
They're never the same to every person. Have you ever tried to figure out how much you make an hour doing eBay, including sourcing, sorting, listing, shipping, fees, income taxes, etc.? No, because I don't care. I put in the hours that I want to work. I don't work at times when I have other things that I need to go do or want to go do, and it's not that predictable. There are times where I make $200 while I'm sleeping. I didn't do anything during that time. I just simply have to pull the cards and ship them the next morning, which maybe takes me, 20 minutes on those orders or something. Um, but no, I think it would be an extremely difficult thing to calculate out, and I don't care. I care what I make monthly so that I can pay my expenses and continue to grow my business, grow assets. These are resellable assets. So you're investing in your future as well. Um, for all you 401k nuts out there, this is another way to provide yourself some retirement assets. But no, I've never calculated it down hour by hour, and I don't really see a point. And there's probably times where I work more hours than others. I would venture to
Yeah.
guess. It's not an hourly wage thing. That's not how sales work. So um, yeah, I don't really care.
Yeah,
I
I
look
don't
at it.
either, especially
I
with it
look at
being
it.
kind of a side thing for me. So, my hours I put into it are very intermittent, So,
Right.
it's if I want to do it, I do it. If I don't want to do it, I don't. And quite honestly, I'd probably be doing something card related anyway.
Yeah, I ended up doing this for a living. It wasn't my original intent, and just sort of kind of came to that point because it made a lot of sense. But I also look at it like if I put extra hours in, even if I'm not getting paid for them now, it's building towards more money in the future, right?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying, Charlie? Like, if you take an extra hour tonight and list 100 more cards, that's probably going to be some more income in the future.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not the same thing as like, well, I sit at my desk for 1 hour and they pay me $18. Like, it's not.
Right.
That's not how it is. You also get all the money you make on it. So even if you're not making that much today, maybe tomorrow you have a really huge sales day and you make all this money. Well, that that I don't know. No, I'm not gonna. Charlie knows I do not like to waste my time, and I do not like to work any harder than I have to.
We
And
we
that's
say something else.
sure. And that this right here, this whole thing you're asking me sounds like a whole lot of work that doesn't really benefit me in any way. So I'm not going to do it. Dad and Sons has joined us. Thanks for being on the show tonight. If you have a stellar rep where you have good communication and ship out quick, then there's no need to race to the bottom. Amen.
Yep.
That's exactly right. So you're going to provide the quality, you're going to provide the service, you're going to provide the brand, and market all those things, advertise all those things, push all those things, and then follow through on all of them. Under promise, over deliver, all the fancy sales sayings you've heard through your lifetime. And yeah, you can price at a higher level. No,
Yeah, I had to learn that as I went along.
and I want to clarify this a little bit. It has to be within reason. If that card is selling for $4 and you're going to ask $15 for it, and then you're going,
It's
why
not
am I
going to
not
sell.
getting any sales? Like, right. You can't do that. So you have to. What's cool right now is when you list a card in eBay and you go to your pricing tab, assuming it's a card that eBay is aware of, it'll suggest a price based on previous sales. Now, I don't go look at all those previous sales, but if it says, hey, these are currently selling for $2.10, I'm pretty confident listing at $2.99, right? I'm essentially asking for, a dollar more than the last sale or what the current sales go for. And I feel like that's fair to get me. I'm worth that buck. To get quality shipping, fast shipping, a nice card in a top load, which customers want, I feel like there's that all that has the value to ask the extra dollar. Bargain Boxer says he went to his LCS yesterday, and the guy told me $5 per card. I negotiate him down to $2 per card. Does that make me a low baller? If so, I own it. Unlike Chasing Cardboard, who hates being called a low baller, just own it. I want to get the cards for the best price I can.
Right.
Now, that being said, let's say a little grandma comes up to me with a collection and says, "Hey, I don't know what these are worth. Can I have $10 for these?" And she has $15,000 worth of cards. Now that's not right. Like, there's a limit to that, right? So, you went to an LCS. Like, if they don't know how to price cards and they're not making a profit on this, that's a problem for them, not you.
Right.
Just like my Christmas cards. My holiday sports cards, I offered him a quarter a piece on those. He had them priced at 75 cents, which I thought was also low. I'm getting $3 to $4 a piece for those and selling them in multiples. So getting, the real returns on those, even after a fee, and a shipping stamp. But I bought them in bulk. It's not something that he normally carries. He got them super cheap as just part of a giant lot that he bought. He was happy to move them to somebody. He knows I'm going to resell them. I'm not going to buy 100 Santa Claus cards and keep them in a box.
Right.
So he was okay with that. I was okay with that. It gave me a little bit more margin to accept a few offers and, maybe ask a little less than I would have, by getting, instead of paying 75 cents, getting them for a quarter. Yeah, if that's lowballing, then you're right. I'm on the same wavelength with you.
I kind of feel like
I do try to offer fair, right? So, like, if I'm in a dollar box and I pick out 100 cards, I'm going to offer 70 to $75 because I feel like I'm buying enough bulk for them to make it worth it to sell me at 70 cents a piece. Yet I'm not asking them for like half price or something. And you'd also don't want to insult somebody when you make an offer. So there's some just streetwise kind of unwritten ethics, that should be in there too. That um, you know you should always try to consider when you're in the middle of these transactions. I think we
yeah,
lost Charlie.
I
Oh,
don't
there's Charlie.
I don't know if I even think there's value in the term lowballer. I mean,
Yeah.
you go into a transaction, you kind of have some idea in your head about this is what I think these go for on the open market. Here's where I need to purchase it at to get the margin I'm looking for. So, unless someone's throwing out a crazy number that is unrealistic, I don't know that I consider lowballing to be a thing. It's just, for you to move that card, this is where I need to be.
Well, and if the person selling it's kind of their responsibility. Like, if I'm asking
Yeah,
$10 for something and you offer me $1, well, you don't accept it. Like, it's not.
right.
If I agree to sell it to you at $1, I probably got it for 10 cents, and so we're both happy anyway.
I
I don't know.
turned down a card offer this morning for the difference of $1. It
Mhm.
was a card that I set my floor at $10 at. They wouldn't go past $9. I eventually said no because
Yeah.
I was like, I know the market value is strong enough. I can wait and sell that to somebody who, really wants it closer to market value. And I passed on it. That's the seller's responsibility to decide what they're willing to take for it.
But now, in the same light, it also wouldn't be bad on your part. Let's say you paid 10 cents for it and you sold it for $9, you'd still
Mhm.
be doing well.
Yeah.
So it gives you that leeway to be able to make those choices yourself per transaction, and that's why I like pricing at the highest level of what comps or most
Yep.
recent sales were, because then I can make the decision on whether or not I want to let that card go. I just picked up you'll see it in my card show video. I picked up a second year Brady insert card from Fleer. It's called like Building Blocks or something, I think. I normally sell those for $15. I got it for 25 cents.
Yeah.
You know, out of it was three. It was a 3 for $1 box, and then I got a discount on it. So I'm gonna say it was like 20, 25, maybe 30 cents max. I'm gonna price it at $15 in my store. You know, it's a Brady card. It's second year. You know, there's demand for that. I'll probably get 15 for it. But if somebody comes in and offers me 12, I'm probably gonna sell it
Yeah.
because I got like 20, 25 cents in it. I can take that $12, buy a bunch more 25-cent cards, and that's the name of the game. You have to look at it like, all right, well, if I sell this and I take a smaller profit, but I have something I can do with that profit that grows me more. There's a saying that you never ever want to forget in business or in sales especially, and that's you never go broke taking a profit.
Yeah.
So you have to, you got to have some leeway in there somewhere too. No, I'm not saying you should have accepted the $9 offer by any measure.
Yeah.
If you feel like you can get the $10, then you can, fuck yeah, hold out for the $10.
Yeah.
I've done that on lots of cards too. Hot in demand stuff. I had everybody climbing all over me for my Dion stuff.
Yeah.
When he was all the rage at the beginning of the season, he's in all kinds of Aflac commercials and all kinds of garbage now. And I'm like, no, I'm not going to take. I want $7 for this card. I'm not going to take your $5. I'm going to hold out and get the 7. In 99% of those cases, I got the 7.
Right. Right.
So.
Well, and the other thing is, don't look at an individual sale in a vacuum either.
Right.
Like when I made that decision, I had also just sold a Dale Earnhardt Dale Earnhardt Jr. rookie card that I got at a card show for like 15 cents, and I sold it for $10. Well,
right.
Now I know I made, a nice profit already. I don't feel so bad holding out on that next card that is a purple hotbox refractor that I know there's a market for
Right.
holding for my price, right?
Kind of the biggest thing, in just what you said there is something that would pop into my mind. I would go, okay, it's somebody making me an offer on a Dale Earnhardt Jr. card. That guy's kind of a legend in his sport at this point, I would say. That's something you can really hold out on. If it's somebody making me an offer on a Brett Beatty Topps insert,
Yep.
I might go, I'm going to take what I can get for this thing because this guy's not going to be a name. No one's going to give a crap about him next year.
So what I didn't say is the Dale Earnhardt Jr. card was not in near mint condition. So when I got that offer, I was like, heck yeah, it's clearly noted. There's a crease here on the card, and they're still willing to pay $10 for it. Heck yeah, I'll take that.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So, but just by asking that slightly elevated price, it just gives you a lot of room to make a good decision.
Yes. Yes.
And you don't all of a sudden sell and go, oh crap, could I have gotten more for that? I also think about it in terms of, in some cases, there's many multiples of cards listed, but let's say the average price of a card is $4 and you're asking $5. Well, what happens if all those $4 cards sell? Right? Now you got your $5 card out there. That's a pretty good looking card because all the $4 cards are gone. You might have been able to outlast the bottom feeders and get your price because all the bottom cards are gone.
Yep.
So, all right, let's get back to some chat. Tom says it's good sales lately. Amon Ra St. Brown National Treasures napkin rookie out of 99 for $50. An offer at $14 on it, and a Leaf 101 gold acetate unsigned proof. Bijan Robinson on offer $50 in at $8. If only all those margins though. Yeah, it's Charlie and I just offered 2 examples of home run swings. But yeah, not every card you find in a box or on a table at a show is going to be that kind of a home run.
No, there's many more where you're making 50 cents to $1 on them.
Yeah, and that's why I mentioned it earlier. The person who posted on my video, like, wow, that's a bunch of work for a small profit. I'm like, yeah, but you have to do that too because great. I bought this card for a quarter and I sold it for $15. That's a great profit. It's not enough for me to live on.
Right.
You still have to pile that up so that, okay, I mean 15 on that one, 50 cents on this one, $3 on this one, $4 on that one. And you take 200 of those throughout the day, and now you've made $300.
Right.
That's a solid day. You're looking at $9,000 a month. Because it's also a 24-hour sales.
Right.
I kind of poked at you, Charlie, with this mostly in jest, but do you get paid from your employer on Saturday and Sunday? No, you don't. You only get paid when you're actually working. I can get paid 24 hours a day. And I don't work Saturdays and Sundays, other than shows. I don't have a choice. I have to go, I go to shows well, I guess I have a choice. I could get my inventory somewhere else, but
Yeah.
it's my preferred method of getting inventory, and they're always, of course, on weekends. So,
Yeah.
But it's also something I enjoy. I get to go with my friends, you and Ethan and Brian, and Brad went with me. My buddy Brad went with me one time. It was really fun. Um, go out and have a lunch, and it's to me that's fun. That's not like going into a board meeting.
Right.
You know. So anyway, Tom says got to be frugal but not pushy. People don't get wealthy from overpaying or paying comps. Right, exactly. And here's the other thing, right? I was just thinking about this the other day. There's all these people complaining that the stock market or the card market has gone down, right, in value. How do you make the card market go back up? Do you want to answer that?
No, I do not want to answer that.
You need cards to sell for more than they sold previously.
Oh yeah.
So if we're all just pricing, if this card sold at $4 and now I sell it for $3.90, well, I'm not helping that. I'm not helping anything out.
Yeah.
I need to sell it at $5. That's how you get those cards to go up. And so anyway, that's a whole other like economic argument, but a good one though.
Yeah. Yeah. You either have to sell more or you have to increase your revenue per sale.
Correct.
Yeah.
And Bargain Boxer asks, how do people get wealthy? And I think we just defined it. Yeah, making money off other people, paying people to do work that makes you more than their wages, essentially. Yes, you would never hire someone unless it made you more money than what you were paying them, of course. Yeah, so it's funny when I was a broker, I used to have people say, "Oh, I'm going to make, I can make all kinds of money in the stock market," and I said, "Well, the money isn't made. It's never made. I mean, the government makes money because they're not responsible with it, and they are the ones that control it. But if you go make money on a stock, someone else lost.
Right.
There isn't money created. The money is there, and then you get this piece, and you get this piece, and you lost, and you're holding the bag down here, and so on and so forth. That's how it works. So if you're not willing to take, same in cards, if you're not willing to take the money off the table from somebody else,
I look at it every time I go out and buy cards at a card show. The way I look at it is I'm willing to put in the work to get a profit out of that card that dealer is not willing to work on because they want to work on a different piece of inventory.
And that's the way I look at it with the bulk. And I try to put that a lot in my videos too. I would never pay, if it's 50 cents a card, I will never pay the 50 cents if I'm buying 100 of them. Because I just created that work for myself. And you're right. I took it all off the hands of this person selling them. I now want that extra margin. I want that
right.
Full profit. And I've mentioned that before too. Like, our Green Bay show video, and people are, I had posts on there. Oh man, if I was buying a card like that, it'd be in a $1 box, not 5 cents, and blah blah blah. I'm like, yeah, but the guy selling these cards, he's not making money on these. These are his. Right. Get his investment back money. Get this stuff out of my house. I don't want 40,000 cards and 5,000 count boxes. I want these gone. Get my money back, and then I'll sell the $100 cards, the $200 cards, the $500 cards. Those I will put my effort into selling, and that's all my profit.
Yeah, I mean his
different motivation.
Sale was 10 to 20 cents from getting it out of a hobby box or a case or something like that, and then his only labor was throwing it in a pile to throw into a bargain box,
Hmm.
because your LCS is worried about the higher end cards. They're not
Right.
worried about these commons and these cards that were overprinted, but maybe are cool, and the things that we hunt for, to get it off the bone, right?
Yeah, and that's exactly why I started the business I started. I'm like, there is some good fruit here that these sellers aren't dealing with because they have enough work to do with the bigger stuff.
Right.
I can scoop up all this little stuff for super cheap and just watch the money roll in. Um, and I also have an argument to, like the poster on the video who said, "Man, that's a lot of work for a small profit." Well, guess how much work you have to do if you want to sell $1,000 card. In a lot of cases, you got to
Yeah.
find a buyer. You got to find a buyer that's going to pony up that money. Could you find a buyer for your $1,000 card for $700? Probably, but does that make you any profit?
Yeah.
What did you pay for it? Also,
Well,
you're assuming a ton of risk. You buy a card from a current player for $1,000 and he breaks his leg the next day. You're not making money on that card.
true. And
Whereas,
then there's a carrying cost too. So I used to watch Pawn Stars all the time. I don't know if you ever watched that
Mhm.
show, but one
Oh
of
sure,
his comments in his negotiations all the time is, "Yeah, that's a really cool item, but I'm gonna have to spend money to present it well, and then it's gonna take up space in my store for a while. That costs me money."
yeah, advertise it, promote it.
Yep.
If it's a picture with a crappy frame, I got to reframe it.
Yep.
It's not the same as for cards, but yeah,
Well, it is in
there's
a way.
if you're gonna sell a card for 1,000, you watch these videos of these guys that go to card shows and they're trying to, buy and sell these cards and they buy it raw and they take the chance and get it graded and sometimes it works out, sometimes it doesn't. They're putting in an entire day's worth of work too.
Right.
They're doing the same thing I'm doing. It's just on the other end of that
Spectrum.
scale and in less quantity, but it's just as much work. And I don't want to do that work. I work selling, stocks and high end house, expensive homes and things like that. That work doesn't excite me. I like going out buying cool cards I like that I feel are underpriced and under looked at and finding an end buyer who's really going to enjoy it. And they're happy to pay retail because somebody listed the damn thing
Yep.
and they've been looking for it.
Yep. How many times do you sell a card? You're like, "Gosh, I didn't know for sure if someone was going to be looking for that, but sure enough, they were."
Yeah.
Right?
Like a water skiing squirrel card, for example, for
Yeah.
$2.99, by
Yep.
the way.
And think of the value you gave them. They didn't have
Mhm.
to sit for 3 hours for 6 months every weekend going through boxes at card shows. They just did a search on eBay and Adam, there it is.
That's it. Buy it now and I'll ship it tomorrow.
That's
No
right.
questions asked. Real simple. Yeah, the process is great. The same thing is for that argument of, oh, you're doing too much work selling the stuff on eBay. You should just do shows. That's a lot of work too. And that's
Yeah.
a whole day you got to commit. You got to haul this stuff back and forth, and you got gas, and you got table fees, and you got reporting can be tougher for tax stuff. You got to try to write all that down or remember from show to show. Whereas eBay does all that stuff for you. You don't have nearly the eyeballs. You might have 30 people who walk past your table at a show versus 26 million who are shopping on eBay for
Right.
cards. Am I going to find somebody at a Green Bay card show that wants a water skiing squirrel card? Not likely. Um, yeah, so there's different ways to do different things. Yeah, Tom says he's just looking to accumulate resources. He doesn't need to be wealthy, just rich in life. Yeah, and that's something I mentioned earlier. These are assets you're building. I look at the value of the cards in my store. It's insane. It's like $390,000. If I got full price for every listing, which of course wouldn't happen. But even if I got 70% of that, that's a few $100,000 that I've gained in assets, and I don't even have it all listed. And I didn't even list any of my, like that Favre red. Um, well, what were we talking about earlier? The Grail card. Keeping in the name of Precious Metal Gems.
Yeah.
I would list that for like 12 grand. So it doesn't even include any of my actual real high end stuff. That's mine. All that stuff I accumulated within the last 3 years. So um, that's way more than I would have gotten into my 401k in the last year. You know, so assets can be just as valuable. They're not. It's not super liquid. There is a very very solid argument to that. Whereas if I had it all in stock, I could just sell the stock today and I'd have the cash. You're
Yeah.
right. Could I sell all $300,000 of those cards in one day? Not likely. I could throw them all on auction and sell a very large portion of them. But yeah, probably not all in one day. And if you did sell them all in one day to a buyer, you'd have to give them a pretty good discount.
Yeah.
So, all right. Hold on 1 second here. So punch this in. Okay, next. Let's see. You can't do it by yourself to create legit wealth. And yes, you're correct. I understand that. I eventually will have to pay people that will make me money, but I'm just not to that point yet. So we'll see what happens. I think I have lots of people I know that would be like, yeah, I'll come sit in your basement and list cards all day. So I feel like I would have some sources for that, but we'll see what happens. And I don't want to open a store. That's been suggested to me like a million times. Um, Overhead insurance. I don't know how many of you are involved in the hiring marketplace these days, but it's bad.
Yeah.
Trying to get anybody and keep anybody. I didn't just end up working at a card store every day because I couldn't get anybody there that I could either trust or would show up, and I don't want to deal with that. My only reason for opening a physical card shop is because people could bring cards in that I could buy.
Sure.
So I would actually I wouldn't even care about the sales side of it because I'd probably just still pump all my stuff out on eBay for sales. But I would look at it as a buying, there would be buying opportunities that I don't have now. Bargain Boxer says he does not want to be card rich and money poor. Yeah, I don't think you can do one or the other. I think it has to be. I think life is all about balance. I have some cryptocurrency. I have stock. I have real estate. I have cards. I think it's good to to play in some different areas and create your wealth through a few different avenues. And he follows that up with balance, which is exactly what I just said. Charlie got a little fuzzy, but we're both good. I'm assuming
That's how far behind we are in the chat.
I know. I'm trying. Yeah, pretty brief. Yeah, Charlie had some issues.
You saw my briefs?
Yeah. That's why the camera went out. We weren't having any of that. Yep. Yeah, I agree, Stu.
Yeah.
But we haven't heard from Stu in a while.
No, he's been pretty quiet tonight.
He didn't rest on that one though. He didn't miss a beat.
We've had a lot of serious discussion though. He's probably not as engaged in that.
Yes, I would guess. He's tired. He's tired. He worked hard last week, let me tell you.
Yeah.
He was my only
carry the load.
Yeah, he was the other host, the main host. So he had a lot of work to do. There's a lot to make up for when you're gone, Charlie. Brad says he keeps card collecting to a hobby, sells cards to accumulate better cards. That's exactly how I started. And then it got to something else, but yeah. And to go back to that comment earlier too from that video where it was like, man, that's a lot of work for a smaller profit. Yes, this is work. This is not. I would assume many of you watching are involved in this. Selling cards online and whatnot. If not, you just enjoy the content, you're trying to learn or whatever. But yeah, don't get it twisted. It's definitely work. There's some physical work to it. There's manual work to it. There's computer work to it. There's accounting. There's lots of organizational skills. You need, storage space. You need square footage to put stuff. It's real. There's If you get to a bigger scale, it is definitely work. Bargain box or levels down. That's my jam. I leave the leveling up to the kids, like Roth Mojo and Card Collector 2. I don't think Card Collector 2 does much of that. He's mainly a retailer. He buys stuff and resells it at all levels. I've seen him buy stuff out of a dollar box too. But yeah, Roth cards, he's all about that. Oh, I have this $20,000 Jason Tatum. Let's see if I can sell it at the show today. It's great.
The
Good luck,
kids are all about leveling up too, like he says. Like that's all I hear at
Yeah,
the card shows is the kids
yeah.
trying to level up.
Yeah, because they feel like that's the only way they can create wealth. They don't have enough experience in business, life, money, all those things to realize that you can do a lot of little bits of things and accomplish the same goal. Sometimes it's easier. As we talked about earlier, it can be a lot easier to sell a $3 Acuna card than it can be to sell a $10,000 National Treasures auto thing of the Player of the Week.
Yep.
Setting rules and boundaries is good if you're looking at it for a hobby. Yeah, definitely. You don't want to spend more than you can afford.
Yep.
Am I the only one in here who's not a reseller? I don't think so. I think I definitely know I have viewers that just like the content. They just like to see, what I do in cards or what we do in cards, I should say. Um, and that's fine too. And that's part of the reason I started the channel is just to share, what I'm doing. And if people just want to watch to see what I've been doing or what I'm changing or what's going on, that's fine. I think if everybody here was a reseller, we'd have a problem. I'd be we'd have too many resellers out there, and that we could start complicating our situation. Um, I have talked recently to a few viewers that started selling, and it was just too much. They just don't want to. Oh, I got all these cards I got to ship out, and I got to go buy more, and I got to do.
It's not
And
for everybody.
they're like, no, this is just too much. I don't want to do this. I want to, go jet skiing on the weekend. Okay, that's great. Um, yeah. So you have to decide what you want to do, and I can see where Brad is. Mentioned earlier, he just does it as a hobby, and he sells cards so that he can buy better cards. There's nothing wrong with that either. You're technically a reseller, but yes, you're just reinvesting it.
Yeah.
Hobby does have to change as I see it. Prices of new cards, wax is way too high. Somebody's losing a lot of money by ripping wax. Yeah, I don't really rip wax. This past weekend, I actually bought 2 mega boxes of 2022 Chronicles because it's got all the different Purdy rookies in it. Um, but that's unusual for me, and I got them under retail. I paid $50 a box. So I was pretty happy with that, but that just kind of quells my once in a while I want to rip a box itch.
It's funny you say
And
it that way. For me, it's like if I'm having a bad day or when I was sick and stuff like that, not feeling my best, I'm like, I'm gonna grab a blaster because it makes me feel good when I rip into one.
yeah,
It's like a pick me up for me sometimes. It's just fun to rip one once in a while, but in no way do I buy one saying I'm gonna buy this to flip it and make money because
no,
it's
no, no,
not there. Yeah,
absolutely, yeah. I would never think that either. And you're right. I'm the same. If I buy a box, it's generally like a $35 blaster, maybe a $50 to $60 mega if it's a product I like.
yeah, yeah,
But I'm also in the fortunate spot of like these are all the cards I got out of the mega. I got this many cards. You get a fair amount in those. But I'll list them all for sale. I'm not opposed to listing a $1 card or a $2 card, whereas a lot of the rippers they just want the hits, right?
yeah.
Um, so even if I don't do that well in a box, I can most of the time I can get back my money or more.
Yeah, I
Um,
think that's fair. You
and
can at
almost
least get your money back most of the time, or pretty close.
yeah, yeah, and anything that I is too cheap to sell online, I can throw in my dime box, and I should be able
Yep.
to move it that way. So,
Hmm.
but Chronicles is great. It's a lot of rookie cards. It's got this really cool. I think it's really cool. Um, let's see, where is that card? That Sauce Gardner where he's wearing the cheese head.
Oh yes.
Pretty cool looking card. I really like some of the sets in here. Um,
Don't you want to know, like, how did that conversation go that led to that card?
well, he put it on during the game. That's where they
Did
got
he?
the picture from. Yeah, he took one from a fan in the stands and put it on.
I didn't see
So
that.
yeah, so the card company was all over that, and they got a picture of it, and they got this great new set out. At least it's a set I like. Called Photogenic, and it looks kind of like a photo frame. Like there's a little silver corner here and a little silver corner here. Kind of like how it frames it out on your screen. And then it's a full color photo. Really nice photos, kind of like Stadium Club,
Okay.
and they're just kind of more personal. Fun pics. Where's that stupid card? But so many cool sets in Chronicles that you can't buy. They're only in Chronicles, so I like them. Oh, here it is. Of course, it's way at the bottom of the stack, but here's the sauce. He's at
Yeah.
Lambeau.
Sauce.
Yeah, he's at Lambeau. I think he had an interception and ran it back or something like that, and jumped in the stands and then took this cheese head and put it on. I don't know. I don't really watch the game, so I'm just kind of trying to recall it from memory as best I can. Um, but I got a Kenny Pickett rookie unparalleled number to 99 out of the box. So that should do pretty well, you know. I got 4 or 5 Purdy's, different Purdy's. He's obviously the big rookie in there. This clear vision one I think is really sweet. Um, you get some refractors, you get some color, there's a couple pink ones in each pack. Just enough that you can get a few bucks out of each one of those cards, and you can make back on them. But anyway, yeah, wax not the way to go. No, the only reason I like buying wax once in a while is it does force me to get some cards I would never buy out of like a value box,
Fair.
a
Yeah.
dollar box. Um, like obviously, if I saw this numbered Kenny Pickett in a box for $1, I would buy it. But um, let's see what else. Got a bunch of Kenny Pickett ones. Let's say like this Ramondre Stevens rookie, right? Oh no, he's not a rookie. But
Not anymore.
anyway, so Danny Gray. Danny Gray, this is a rookie card. I don't think I would be buying Danny Gray out of a dollar box, but it's not a bad thing to list some Danny Gray rookie cards in my store. Does play for the 49ers, who are likely going to be there at the end of the season. Maybe he has a couple of impact plays one week, and I sell a couple of them. I don't know. So that's the other thing I like about boxes. It forces me to get a hold of some cards that I wouldn't normally buy, and it does give you a shot at something big. I have gotten some decent hits out of boxes where I've like tripled my money on what I spent.
Yeah.
So, yeah. But you're right. I mostly do it for the fun. I really like the brand, so I just have some fun ripping the packs. If I get something cool, great. Yeah. Bargain Boxer has a pleasant outlook. He says the hobby will change for the worse. Fanax is going to charge higher prices, and it will hurt the hobby. I don't know.
I'm worried about that.
Yeah, I don't know. Whatever. I don't buy wax. I don't really care. The secondary market prices won't be affected by how much wax goes up because that's not how it works. if somebody's willing to pay $1 for something once it's opened, that's what it'll sell for. Whether you paid $100 for that pack or $500 for that pack. So keep that in mind. If you're buying secondary market stuff, I mean, unless nobody buys the wax, then that could be a problem. But then they would just drop the prices. So
Yeah.
uh, yeah, it'll work out. It'll work itself out just
We know
fine.
people will still buy it though because of what happened during the pandemic.
Plus breaks.
Yeah.
Breaks will always happen. Tom says if what's been happening the last few years isn't change, I don't know what is. True. Things have changed the last few years. Fanatics, Tops, Beckett, PSA, all the consignment, more breakers than ever. It'll ever evolve, collapse, and rebuild. I don't. Collapse isn't a real thing. Not in a hobby. There will always be people who hang on with it. And if prices drop, then you get stuff cheaper and you sell it cheaper. Like it's not that big a deal. You just change with it. People say that with gas prices. Oh, can you believe gas has gone up to $5 a gallon? Well, you still bought gas, didn't you?
Yeah.
Oh, can you believe? Oh, can you believe gas has gone down to $2? So what do? Go buy more and store it? Like that's not real. Then you just paid less that time. Like it doesn't matter. And I know I'm comparing like a fun hobby thing that you don't really need to gasoline, which most people need. But my point is the price thing. That gas is a great measurement for that because we're conscious of the price changes of it, unlike most other products.
Yeah. I think Tom's talking more about the speculators though that play cards like the stock market, right?
Mm-hmm.
So when he says it collapses and rebuilds, you'll see a significant price drop at times where they're sitting on cards they can't make a profit off of anymore, but then the market rebounds eventually and then they're back in the green, right?
But I would argue that collapse already happened.
Agree.
So if anything, we're in the rebuild stage, and economically, that's kind of the case too. Some of this has to do with just the flat out dollars and cents of the world, which you can't blame fanatics for. But yeah, I don't know. We'll see. Tom says he has a full-time job and he sells because he buys way too much. That's good enough reason to sell and move on.
We know Tom's full-time job is not listing.
Right. We do. We do know that.
How many are you at now, Tom? You didn't give us a number yet this week.
It hasn't even been mine the past few weeks, or past 2 weeks, I would say. But I did get. This is how much I listed today, so not too bad. Now it's about 75 or 80 cards. But yeah, tomorrow is going to be a heavy listing day. I'm caught up on leaves. It's supposed to rain tomorrow, which is one of the reasons why I did it. And I have a fair number of sales, but I was able to pull some cards already. So yeah, I'm hoping to get those panned out real quick. I don't have to go pick up any carpet tomorrow, so I won't have that. I can work through a lunch hour if I need to. And my daughter's off of school tomorrow, but she has a friend sleeping over tonight, so she'll be occupied. I'm hoping to just list. Today I watched most of all 3 of the Jaws movies. I have
very random
in the background. Well, my point was I have the last of the third one to finish, and that's my measure. When that third one is done, that's it. It goes off. Everything is listing after it. So that's kind of the stick I put to myself on that one.
I'll be listing these WWE cards tomorrow. That is my goal. I am starting a week's vacation tomorrow. Well, sort of. I have like two days mixed in where I got to do some work related stuff, but the rest of it is vacation.
Nice. I sold a yesterday. Yeah, it must have been yesterday because I shipped it today. I sold an Eddie Guerrero rookie card that I bought out of a 10-cent box.
Yeah.
I got two of them in that box, and actually I paid less for it because I bought those on Sunday. Believe it or not, they were still in the box on Sunday, last day of the National. So I think I got them for like 2 cents because I bought like a whole ton of stuff out of the box, and I got 2 Eddie Guerrero rookie cards out of it, and I sold 1. So I was pretty happy about that.
Yeah, I sold a WWE card the other day, and it made me realize I sold a Rhea Ripley card, and it made me realize that I have not been showing the love to my WWE customers in quite a while, and I need to get those cards back in my rotation of listing days so that I'm offering some fresh product out there.
And that makes it more fun too to just keep working on the, we've talked about this before, to just do something for 8 hours on the same thing is just not, that's not how the human was built.
Right.
Humans were made to, kind of run around, do some different things. Here's the Eddie Guerrero rookie. Clearly they didn't know it was a rookie. It's with WCW.
Right.
From 1998. How old is that? Huh? And then also a Mean Gene Okerlund. I picked up in that same box. Yeah, I got some good stuff in that box. It was fun. But that was all stuff from the Nationals that I just got around to listing.
Yep.
I still have a ton of National stuff to get to yet too. Yeah, listing that's been the recent challenge, and I think that's just the challenge till the end of time. So
yeah, I was telling you earlier that this week I spent quite a bit of time investing in researching the WWE card market, and I think I had like 146 different superstars. I've trended their card sales over the last year.
yeah,
Eddie
that's it.
Guerrero and Mean Gene were not part of my list, though.
Isn't that crazy?
Yeah.
Yeah. So
There were some surprises I pulled out. The number one selling WWE card over the last year is
yeah,
not someone that I would have expected.
Randy Savage.
Not even close. Randy
Oh,
Savage did not even make it into the second tier.
what? I've been selling a bunch of Randy Savage. I sold a few Randy Savage in the last month or two.
Yeah, he did not make the like top 20. Well, let's see, 3, 6. He didn't make the top 18. Let me say that.
Well, who's the top 5?
Do you want them in order, or do you wanna try and get some guesses?
Let's get some guesses. Let's get some guesses from the chat.
All right.
I gotta go 600 messages up though, because we're getting out of hand here.
So we're saying give us your guesses for the top 5 WWE trading
Top
card
5.
sellers in the last
Looks like CR has chimed in with The Rock. I would agree with that. Brad says Hulk Hogan. I would agree with that.
Mm-hmm.
Seth Rollins. Jordan Brown says Seth Rollins. Interesting. Sawyer says John Cena.
Okay.
I could see Cena being in there. Seth Rollins. I don't even know who that is.
What?
CM Punk.
Des Moines'
No.
finest.
No, don't know. Is that like newer wrestling? Because I don't.
In the last 5 years, 6
Yeah,
years.
I stopped watching wrestling when I was like 7. So guys that are past that, I don't really know. Oh, he's a guy who died. Okay, that makes sense.
That narrows it down. Iron Sheik recently died.
Yeah, I saw that. I have some Iron Sheik stuff too.
Or Colonel Mustafa, as he was also known.
Alexa Bliss, true. I've sold a couple of hers.
Bing,
Steve
bing,
Austin,
bing. Number 1, Alexa Bliss.
Yeah, that makes sense. She has boobs.
Oh, Alexa heard me. She's confused now.
That's funny.
I'm not sure about that.
I'm not sure about that. Roddy Piper. We got another Andre the Giant. That's a good one. I have sold an Andre card recently. Rock, Hogan, Austin, Flair, Undertaker.
Those are all good guesses.
Ripley, Akura. All right, give us the top 5.
All right, number 5. Now, granted, this is not every superstar ever. There's a few, like I see someone mentioned Bray Wyatt. I didn't have any cards of his. He was not in my research. So number 5 of the 146 superstars I looked at, Roman Reigns. Roman Reigns, about 1.6% of the total WWE card market, which is,
I have no idea who that is.
Doesn't sound like a lot, but the top seller I found, which we said was Alexa Bliss, is 2.5% of the card market. So it doesn't take a big number to be considered a good mover, right?
Right.
Number 4, the Phenom, The Undertaker.
Okay.
That was not a surprise to me.
Yep, that makes sense.
Number
3.
I
know him. He was around when I was doing it. doing it.
Ooh, look at that. You can see my crooked finger from breaking it playing football. Look at that.
Nice.
Number three.
So you're Larry McCarron in hand.
Yes. Fun story. I ran into him in the restroom of a local drinking establishment, and that pinky is weird when you're standing at a urinal.
I can imagine. You're like, I hope that's your finger.
Right. Most of these people are probably like, what are they talking about? But
yeah, he has a broken pinky and it like points sideways.
Like
it's like
way over
it's like 90 degrees. Yeah.
All right, number three. That is the immortal Hulk Hogan.
Okay. So that was guessed, so that makes sense.
Tidbit about him: if you search just Hulk Hogan on eBay, it tells you he sold like 4 cards, and I was like, "Holy cow! Did the market really die that much on him?" You have to search Hulk Hogan WWE to get the results. Kind of interesting. Gotcha. It doesn't make sense to me, but
not really.
Number two is the great one, The Rock. If you smell what The Rock is cooking.
Wayne Gretzky?
Wayne Gretzky. I never heard Wayne Gretzky called The Rock, but I don't watch much hockey.
He's the great one.
Oh, the great one.
Yeah.
Yes, the great one in hockey. Yes. And then, as we said, number 1, Alexa Bliss. The women's division revolution of the last 5 years really shows itself in the card sales. If I round out the top 10, there's other female superstars. Like Alexa is really active tonight.
Yeah.
There's other female superstars rounding out the top 10, like Liv Morgan, Charlotte Flair, Becky Lynch, Rhea Ripley, and someone who hasn't been with the WWE for quite a while now, Sasha Banks.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I saw a couple people say Ripley, so that makes sense.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Interesting. So people only want to buy the female wrestlers? That kind of surprises me.
They're very prominent in that top 10. And then kind of that next tier are a lot of the legends that I would have thought were higher. John Cena, Stone Cold Steve Austin, Asuka, Cody Rhodes, the Ultimate Warrior, a new up-and-comer named Cora Jade. She just made her debut.
A couple people said Cora.
Yep. And then Brock Lesnar. Which I really enjoy getting all the different Brock Lesnar cards from different sports. So I have his WWE, I have his Minnesota Vikings card, and I also have his UFC cards.
Nice. Yeah, that's awesome. I don't really do a lot with WWE. I just sort of, if I find them in the 10-cent box, especially if they're older cards, I'll pick them up. I love WWF stuff. If I ever find that, I would buy that.
World Wildlife Fund?
Yeah, exactly. With the little panda on it, the whole thing. That's hot stuff.
Yep, it is. So
it's interesting
I enjoy
info.
A little bit of WWE cards. So what I like about the WWE is if you've ever talked to a WWE fan, they're pretty passionate, which tells me there's a dedicated market base for those. Sure. Now, do they sell like your major sports like football, baseball, things like that? Absolutely not. But that's where I think market research like this pays off more dividends when you're in a more exclusive market with a finite group of buyers.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
Yeah, Mankind, Cactus Jack, Mick Foley. I did combine the numbers for all three. Good call out because he had so many characters. He ranked number 24 in my rankings. He had about 0.75% of the market.
Okay.
He's one of my personal favorites. I once went to a show, and when my friends picked me up, I hit the garage door opener, and I was in full Mankind costume with the mask, the business shirt, the tie all loose, and black jogging pants. And they still talk about it to this day.
That's awesome.
Have a nice day.
Yeah, I never really got that far into it. It was just on Saturday mornings in between other stuff I watched. So,
Yeah. Yeah, I
I
know.
watched it, and
Full disclosure, everybody, we are way outside of Adam's comfort zone.
yeah, I still know that much about it. I mean, I know like the big names of rock and stuff. I have some rock stuff. I've got some Cena stuff. I buy a little bit here or there, but um, like the new wrestlers, I really don't know unless they start getting into movies and somewhere else in the media world. I generally don't follow any of it.
Yeah, yeah.
Kind of like NASCAR. Like I couldn't tell you any of the new drivers. Like hardly any of the F1. I just know what the big names are and kind of stick with that.
Yeah. Makes sense.
But I also do non-sport, which a lot of people don't do. I do soccer, which a lot of sellers don't do. You kind of have to find like your spots.
Right.
You don't have to know everything.
For sure.
So I think that's a good thing to mention because as you want to expand and grow and add other things, but you don't have to add everything.
You got to find your niche.
Yep, exactly. Tom says, I'm like vaguely aware years after and don't like to claim I know something I don't. So I'll be quick to second guess, so appreciate the confirmation. I think he's replying to someone else. To Jordan. Jordan said yes, he said the
He
right
might be
name.
talking about Nikki Bella. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's what it was.
Who was number 35 in my research.
Eureka says, I only know the ones from the Cyndi Lauper videos.
Captain Lou Albano. I had a card of his today too.
That's not, that's probably not too far from the truth. And I'm okay with that because I could name all kinds of soccer player names and you'd have no clue who they are.
Absolutely.
Some of the golfers, the newer golfers. I
Yeah.
mean, yeah, you have to find your spots for sure. But I do think that that's a little bit of an untapped market. It's not a big market, so that's probably
Right.
the biggest challenge there. Same with UFC, but I think if you can get a hold of that stuff early now and it continues to have some growth, WWE is really weird. It's like it's really in for a while and then it's really out for a while and it's really in for a while. I kind of see it like almost like Saturday Night Live. Like it really
Yeah.
depends on who the cast is at the time as to whether or not
Yeah.
you're gonna do well with it. So I don't know.
Let's talk about scope for a minute. In the last year, roughly 276,000 WWE cards have sold on eBay. Let's
Right.
compare that to baseball. Almost 11 million baseball cards sold.
Right.
So it's a significantly different type of market.
Yeah, you definitely have to kind of watch. I would say something like that. If you wanted to get heavier into it, you want to look at the growth a little bit and see if it's, if you're going to have a customer base for any of that stuff. That's why soccer won't be my number one, at least not for a long time, because it just doesn't have as strong a market. Football cards by far has the best market right now.
Yeah.
So I tend to focus more on that than anything else.
Absolutely. And when I look at a smaller market like these cards, I think it puts more of a premium on the parallels, the refractors, the rookie cards. You're not going to sell as many commons as you do in the main sports.
Correct. Yep, I agree. Yeah, my buddy Brad has to chime in here because he is an Arsenal fan and I am a Manchester City fan, and they played each other last week. Arsenal never beats Manchester City, but guess what happened?
Wah, wah.
Arsenal won 1-0. So he's poking at me and he says, how about Gabriel Martinelli? Because that is the gentleman for Arsenal who scored the goal against Manchester City. So,
I like Brad.
Thanks, Brad. Thanks, Brad. They play again very soon, and the result will be different. So, Sean Strickland took the UFC belt from Israel Adesanya, but his base prism rookie is only $3 and has sold 3 times since he won the belt. UFC market way down. Even the breakout new rookies are cheap.
Agree.
That's kind of my point, though. I feel like if you feel like that's going to be a strong market at some point, this would be the time to buy them. You want to buy them when they're $3.
Right.
Um, so you got to decide, how far is that market going to go? I was buying soccer again before the boom. I bought a bunch of Messi rookies and some Ronaldo. I bought some Mbappe sticker rookies and stuff like that. And soccer has really taken off. So I felt like there was a huge potential market for that. It's a world sport. Um, if you feel like UFC is really going to explode or WWE is going to come back in a big way, that might be the thing to buy for sure. The Soccer Leaf Ultimatum autos are doing surprisingly better than I thought. Not selling like hotcakes, but maybe a day old KFC biscuit.
That's quite the comparison.
Yeah, I kind of like that. That's sort of hot. That KFC biscuit might be my thumbnail for this video. We'll see later on if I feel like staying up to create a thumbnail. But anyway, yeah, I like the Leaf products. I think they're underrated. It goes back to that unlicensed thing, and I've been trying to tell people it's going to gain steam, as long as it's player licensed or artist licensed or whatever it is, it'll be okay. But yeah, Leaf makes some really nice stuff, and their products are affordable. So I can see people liking those Ultimate Autos, and you have some great names in that set. Some really nice. Soccer autos are not that common. They don't sign as much stuff as football players and baseball players and that kind of thing. It's not that big of wasn't that big a thing as some of the other sports. So I feel like if you want a nice auto, that's a great product to try to get a piece from. Let's see. IPC Strickland and sold his Immaculate Auto on an offer for $85
Yeah.
on AP1.
And that kind of goes back to, we've talked before about monitoring the news in the markets, right? Strike when the going's hot. He won a belt. There's going to be more interest in him for a period of time. Make sure you've got that product out there. If you've got a stack of UFC cards sitting idle on the side that you haven't gotten a list yet, and Strickland's in there, now's the time to get him out there.
Yeah, I think that's right on. You're right on the head there. You want to try to zig when everybody else is zagging, and that might be a good zig play. It's not one I'm gonna do. It doesn't interest me that way. I have other zigs that I partake in, but that makes it even better because I'm not doing it. It's another opportunity for you with someone else who's not doing it. So yeah. CR says it's harder to invest in football because of the high turnover in players. Yeah, you kind of have to, if you're going with current players, you kind of have to go with the hot right now and try to flip them quick. I don't buy a ton of that stuff. I mainly go with, Hall of Fame players and stick to starting long-term quarterbacks and stuff like that. Players who won Super Bowls, those are kind of where I stay. So here's I'm going to show you an example of something I just picked up at the card show. It'll be in my pickups video tomorrow too. Let me see here. I got to dig them out though. But I ended up buying like almost a complete rainbow of a player out of a 50-cent box. It was actually 3 for $1, and then I got some deal on it, so probably about 30 cents a card. But I'm going to show you who it is and why I'm going to sell them fast. Once I can find them. Of course, they're going to be at the bottom of the stack, just like the other ones, because that's how that stuff goes. And I bought a few mini cards this weekend because I love mini cards. Right, Charlie?
Yeah, they're so awesome to store and handle.
Yeah, my favorite. My favorite. I did buy some Baker Mayfield rookies this weekend too, cheap.
As they should be.
As they should be, but my biggest sellers right now are like Jared Goff, Brandon Ayuk.
But Mayfield's having success with Tampa
May
Bay,
Yeah,
and there's a good chance that market's going to climb if that continues, and
and
you'll have an option to flip those.
Tampa Bay also has a pretty solid fan base.
Yeah.
Just like the Lions. I mean, today I sold a bunch of Stafford Lions cards. I mean, he hasn't played there in a few years.
Yeah.
I sell a ton of Calvin Johnson. I sell a bunch of Barry Sanders. I mean, those guys haven't been there in years. So sometimes you just have to kind of know, like, there's certain markets where you wouldn't think there's a market, sometimes. But here they are. Here's the most of a rainbow.
Is that
And this,
Anthony Richardson?
nope.
Who's it?
You see who this is?
No.
Christian McCaffrey.
Oh, CMC. Yeah. Okay.
CMC. Got a great comeback story. He's hitting on all cylinders. I know he's injured right now, but he'll be back in 2
I
weeks.
didn't hear what the injury was.
It's something really minor.
Okay.
He just couldn't finish the game. But yeah, that's Prism cards. They're in his college uniform, which in this case I don't think is bad because his rookie pro uniform cards are Carolina cards.
Yeah.
Now he's with the 49ers, so the 49ers don't want Carolina cards. So those are all things that run in my head when I look at those. And I got the purple, the pink, the orange, the blue. I might have somebody come in and just buy the whole stinking lot of them, And
Yeah.
I paid 25 to 30 cents a piece. So here's another cool card that just came out, and I had to buy one. This is Pat Tillman in his college uniform. This is
I
Pat
always buy
Tillman
Pat
with,
Tillman when I see him.
yep, Arizona State, national hero. This is from 2023 Prism Draft. I paid 20 cents for this card. There's just certain ones that, and I just understand the football market very well. I got this 1979 Topps Terry Bradshaw card. It's actually in pretty good shape. It's a little hard to tell with the sleeve and that, but 20 cents.
Yeah.
I sell vintage Terry Bradshaw stuff all day long for $7 to $10, a card. So, but here's a Baker rookie out of Rookies and Stars. So I bought a few Baker ones. Sometimes I look for these where it's the archive sets, and it's basically a reprint of their rookie card. Those sell very well. Got a Bill Belichick for 20 cents rookie card.
A rookie coach card.
Rookie coach card, but he's a goat,
He's a what?
He's a goat. Won a lot of right on cue. Yeah, when you're buying current players, that's part of the risk. Would I have bought McCaffrey like 3 years ago? No. I mean, he was out for a whole season, and Carolina was looking to dump him, and he's a running back. So running backs don't come back and have big careers, and
right.
But everything just landed in the right spots for him, and he signed with San Fran, and he's a monster. So. Yeah, football can be tricky that way, but if you buy a lot of Marino, you buy a lot of Montana, you're going to have your solid sales there, and then sometimes you win, sometimes you lose on the current players with who's in and who's out, and who's injured. Tom says he could buy back in cheaper again, so might as well. Didn't bother listing Select and Prism, although did see some of the field level disco out of 49 selling for 40 to 60 bucks around the time he'd won. So I think he's referring back to that
UFC.
Wrestling, yeah. Or UFC.
Yeah.
I'm gonna skip forward because otherwise it's too hard to follow where we're at. You guys keep on chatting. I'm glad you guys are talking to. Glad you're talking to each other. That's exactly what we want. Yeah, but yeah, I think what we've been talking about here is all very very good conversation with hey, what should I buy? What can I sell? There's a lot of options. You have to decide what works for you. I like to sell a lot of music cards. I just sold 2 Vanilla Ice cards yesterday. So buy a lot of hip hop and stuff like that. And there's a lot of you that would never touch any of that stuff, and that's fine too. You sell UFC, I'll sell MTV Raps. That's fine. Markets for all this stuff, and you just have to. I think it's more fun to buy stuff you like, stuff you're interested in. You'll do better research. Um, you'll be able to talk better to the customers if they have questions. Sometimes some of these cards, when I look at them, like, let's see. So here's an example, okay? A non-sport card. You know who this is?
Uh, like French Toast Man or something from like Ren and Stimpy or something, isn't it?
It's from Ren and Stimpy, and his name is Powdered Toast Man.
Powdered Toast Man, yeah.
But it doesn't say Powdered Toast Man on the card, but I know that because I loved the show.
Yeah.
You see what I mean? So I didn't have to look it up. I didn't have to do any of that. And in my listing, I want to put Powdered Toast Man. Somebody might be looking for it that way, and others might not have listed it that way because they didn't know who it was. Yeah, I think it doesn't really matter what you sell as long as there's a market for it, of course. As long as you can actually make a profit on it.
Yeah.
And that you know what you're selling. Yeah, Captain Milk Toast. That's pretty awesome.
Hey, there's a question that I think is a good one for you at 10:05 from Bill about a Sports Illustrated for kids. And I don't recall talking to Bill before, so I'd like to see if we can get him some time here.
Yeah, let me see if I can get it. Okay, here we go. This one. Found a Sports Illustrated for Kids issue today with the Victor Wembanyama card at half price books for $1. Dude, buy that.
Right.
If you don't, buy it for $1 and I'll pay you $5 for it to send it to me. Anyway, so I don't think that's his question, but any luck grading SI for kids cards? I know they are very tough grades. No, I don't really grade much of anything, to be honest with you. I think it's kind of a not worth the risk in most cases, especially now with the market down. But I've seen a lot of PSA 10, SI for kids cards and things like that. You got to make sure it's a fresh perforation tear. Don't ever cut them out. As soon as you cut through that perforation, it's considered altered or trimmed. Try to keep from bends in it. They're in a magazine, so that can be a little tough. But if it looks good outside of that, it is that card worth grading? Yeah, absolutely. Those are about $80 to $100 raw. If you can, even if you can PSA 9 it, I think you can get about 200. If you PSA 10 it, you're probably looking at like 600 or 700, 800. So I think it, for $20 or whatever to send it in to grade it, and you're ripping it fresh out of a magazine, so as long as you take your time and you do it well, you should get a nice tear out of it and keep it in good condition. I wouldn't grade it as a full page. I've had people ask me that before. Well, it's in the middle of the page, so just grade the whole page. I think that's a mistake because you're not going to have a market for somebody who wants that full page of cards. They're going to want the Wembanyama card, regular size graded holder. So I wouldn't do that. But yeah, I think that card is definitely, if you feel like once you tear it out, you got something in pretty good shape. Yeah, I would send it in. I've seen a lot of usually the ones that get graded are the kind of the alternate sport rookies. So you would see like Tiger Woods rookies and Serena Williams rookies and things like that. And I've seen plenty of 10s of those. So I definitely think it's possible. But it's kind of hard to evaluate yourself because I don't know how they look at the perforations. I mean, you can look at centering and things like that,
Yeah.
but you almost just kind of have to send it in. I think people who are buying that kind of card, they like the fact that it's graded because of the authentication. It's not very hard to duplicate Sports Illustrated for kids cards other than maybe the perforation. Excuse me. So even if you don't get a 10 and you get a 9, you get added value on that card. Even though it's a very recently issued card, because of the fact that the buyer has confidence then that it's real. So unlike most modern cards, the value is coming from the number of the grade. With Sports Illustrated for kids, you get a little bit of a bump because they're looking for authentication as well. So
CR asked about dime boxes being for sale for a complete box price too, and I know you work with that sometimes.
yeah, I've bought a few complete boxes. I still want to at least get a handful of the cards and look through them just to kind of see what I feel like the flow in that box would be, if it would be worth it. Because I don't want to buy a bunch of dime cards that I now have to put in my dime box.
Right.
That doesn't really seem like it's worth the effort. But yeah, if you can get them cheap, I would want them real cheap then if I was going to take the whole box. I'd want my dime cards at like 2 cents if I was going to not cherry pick. Because
Yeah.
for me, one of the major reasons I like to buy my inventory at a show is I can cherry pick. I can legit buy the ones that I know have a good margin and I know I can sell pretty quickly. You still want as fast a turnaround time as you can possibly get. So the odds of an entire 2-row box having all cards in it that you could sell real quick are not that high, especially out of a 10-cent box. So yeah, you want to really want to chop that price down on a box like that. So most of the time, I don't find boxes, and you'll watch my videos, doing shows and stuff. You'll see I don't buy a ton of entire boxes. I'm not that desperate for inventory. I have 20,000 cards to list. I have stuff. I guess if I became really desperate for inventory, I'd just buy a bunch of whole boxes and go with it. But I find it's better to just cherry pick and then still make sure you're buying a bulk, a big amount to get an additional discount. But I'd rather buy a bunch of cards I want out of a dime box for 5 cents than just buying the whole box and getting them for 2 cents, and there's a bunch of stuff in there I don't want or I don't want to deal with. So time is also money, so make sure you're not putting in too much to things you can't sell. Welcome back. We missed you, Stu.
It's that AI, it's
Yeah.
not perfected yet.
It took over and it booted out the real one.
Right.
Yeah. Eureka says if you have a wide variety of non-sports, you get a shopper who enjoys reminiscing and browsing your store. Variety more of a driver than price point in non-sports, from what I gather. And what's interesting, and you bring up a good point, but one of the things I find interesting, a lot of times when I get my sales, it's like they buy one Ninja Turtles cards, and then they buy an 18 card, and then they buy a Justin Bieber card, and then they buy a Spike, TV card, and it's like that's really random to have those different items together. So non-sport collectors are generally collect a lot of different non-sport things. So you'd be surprised what can all go in one order. At least that's been my experience. Let's see. Um, Tom has a question about SI Kids cards. He says, would a ruler help bend it when you go to tear the perforation? Maybe that would help in that author, not tear against a ruler, but as edge to bend straight against. I did make a video on how I take SI Kids cards out of magazines, and I honestly just prefer to do the old bend and flip and bend and flip and bend and flip. You got to watch, obviously, to make sure that you're not bending the card. You're only bending at the perforation. But I really find that, I work it back and forth about 8 times or so. And then the perforation, releases pretty easily. I don't want to put anything on there that's going to cause some sort of a fold or have it tear where it's not tearing on the perforation. That perforation is key. So I have a bunch right here, of course. But you can see this.
That Eddie the Eagle?
It is Sherry Sloan
Oh.
ski jumper, but I do have some Eddie the Eagle cards. It's gonna be hard to show this, but you can see this nice perforation here. You got to make sure that you're just kind of bending, and you'll hear the nice, sort of rip sound, and I don't know how else to tell you. I don't think there's a cheat way to do it. You pretty much have to fold and let the perforation, release. And that's what PSA is going to look for. So, let's see. How many do you have posted currently? I'm not sure what he's referring to. If you're talking about like total listings, I have 30. I went down a bunch in the last 2 days because I shipped for 14 hours on Monday. Sold a lot of cards. Let me click on this right now. I have 32,158. So still growing, but the growth is pretty slow now because I have the turnover. Yeah, hi Charlie has taken over. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, Jordan clarified. Yes, listed. Welcome, by the way. I don't think Jordan has joined us before. Happy to have you here. Hopefully, you're having some fun with the content in the chat. Yeah, I try to at least have 1 or 2 days a week where I really focus on listing. I always have my stacks of stuff to be listed. And it's funny, I was talking to my wife this morning about the my layout for my new office, and she's like, "Oh, and you can't have any of these cards out and stuff like that." I'm like, "No, I need my to be listed cards right here." So I look at them and I go, "I gotta do this listing," and I grab a stack and I just do it. Um, that's a positive force for me to have around my work environment. But yeah, if I sell 1,000 cards in a week, I try to make sure I list at 14 to 1,500 so that I constantly have a click up of growth in listings. Now, unfortunately, some cards you list might just sit there for like 10 years, and you're never going to have to do anything with them. And if I get close to my max listing number, I'll worry about that at that time. Otherwise, for now, anything I think will sell at a price where I can make a profit on eBay, I will list it. Everything else goes in my diamond quarter boxes for shows. It's basically where my listing philosophy comes down to. I think you're about the same at this point, hey Charlie?
Yeah, so I've finally gotten to a point where I feel more comfortable assessing cards as obviously if I buy cards at a show, I'm planning to list them all. But if I grab cards out of a box or a blaster or something every once in a while, like I'm at that point where I can pretty fairly decide, okay, I'm going to list these. These are going to go right in the 10-cent box. I try to list every single day, at least some number of them. I don't really set a target for how many I list a day, but of course, to your point, you want to be listing more than you sell every day. But I want to be active every day so that I stay in that eBay algorithm.
Yeah.
So I'm at 1433 as of the time of this show. And now that football season's over for me, coaching wise, I think I'll, in a pretty quick fashion, I should get up over the 2,000 mark here pretty soon.
And just a tip again on that, as you brought up the algorithm, having new listings, eBay likes that. Plus, there's a lot of people who search by new listings. You can end some listings and relist them. It's kind of a cheat code for getting some listings out real quick on a day where maybe you don't have time to list. As most of you are part-time, I would assume, that's just something that you can do to help have some fresh out there.
Yeah.
Bill wants to know how often we sell at shows. Charlie and I do shows together, or a show together, and we do a quarterly show at the Green Bay KI Convention Center. It's the biggest show in Green Bay. Does really well, gets a huge crowd, and that's enough for me to sell at. I don't sell any of my. For the most part, I have some under the table cards that I'll sell at a show, but for the most part, it's just my diamond quarter boxes, and it's simply just to sell inventory that I just can't make a profit on eBay. So I don't feel like I need to drag those boxes around to like a show every weekend. I don't want to work every weekend. Most shows I need to attend as a buyer, and I want to attend as a buyer. That's the way I get my inventory. So I don't sell at a ton of shows. I'm generally just a buyer. And Charlie's been pretty much on that same bandwagon with me the whole time.
Yep, for sure.
Tom has 374 listings, 500. Here we come.
There we go.
Are we accepting of that? That's a pretty fair number, right?
Yeah.
Based on what he's selling?
Well,
yeah.
We always say you want to scale up at the right speed for you, right? Like you don't want to go too fast, but you want to make some consistent progress.
I agree. And I've talked about this before. I don't like the listing programs and the scanners and all that because I feel like you might outlist what you can handle in the business. So yeah, you can maybe list 10,000 cards a little quicker, but if that boosts your sales in a quick hurry, and I think it's better to have some new listings just consistently versus I list 10,000 right now, and then I don't list anything for a while because I'm trying to handle the sales from that. I just don't. That's not how I want to do it. I don't think it's the best way for me to do it. I think it's better because most of the time, since I have good selling cards that I'm listing, if I list 125 cards in a day, I'll sell 20 of them, like within a day or two. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Now, if I list 10,000 of them, am I going to sell 2,000 of them right away? I highly doubt that.
Would be
and if
nice.
I do, well, if I do, that creates another problem. I got to get 2,000 of these cards. Shit. You see what I mean? I feel like it's just complicating something that doesn't need to be that complicated. And we've talked about it before. I like the individual pictures. I don't like the scans, especially on the refractors and the shiny cards, which is like 90% of the cards you sell nowadays.
Yeah.
So anyway, that's kind of where I'm still in that listing thought. That's still the way I feel like is the way that's best for me. And it's worked. I've been able to grow to a point where I can do it full time, and I'm still growing from there, and my income is still growing. So obviously it's working the way I'm doing it. It allows me some time to kind of learn as I go. I'm not just shoving 10,000 cards out there and going, oh, I shouldn't have listed those. I don't know. I think growth at a healthy pace is important.
Yeah.
You don't want to compare it to like real retail, right? Let's say you have a store, and your store is doing really well in your location. You're like, I should open more stores. You can open 500 stores? Probably not. You might try one across town, and then that does pretty well. And then, yeah, if there's another busy town, 30 miles from here, I'll put one on the east side and the west side of that town. So I'll do two more.
Right.
That's how you're going to do it, unless you're going to franchise or take all the responsibility off of you and put it on someone else. Maybe you would, throw a bunch up at one time. But even most franchises don't start from one. They grow to 20 or 25 stores and then they franchise because now it's a known name in a big enough area where other people want to buy into the name. You see what I'm saying? I kind of equate it to that same thing. CR has a good question. He says, why does selling on Facebook and Twitter not work anymore? It was really popular at one point. Well, Twitter doesn't exist. It is now X. Just kidding. Just giving you crap on that one. I don't twat, so I don't know. I've never sold on Twatter. I don't buy on Twatter, so I'm not sure what that experience was in the past or what it is now. I have done some on Facebook. I just don't like it. That's still an in-person transaction for the most part on Facebook, and I really don't want to do that. If I was going to do that, I'd open a store. Um, and there's just so much trust issues, I think, with all of that.
Fair.
There's no,
Yeah.
there's no middleman to control any of that. There's no measurement for it. There's no feedback system. There's nobody escrowing the payment. You know, there's fraud. There's, oh, hey, give me your account number, and then I don't know. I think that people just want to avoid a lot of that. And eBay is such a great, easy marketplace, especially for the buyer, where they have less responsibility. They get their money guaranteed back if things don't work out. There's the feedback system. They can file claims. They can return things. Um, I don't know. I think the buying experience is not as good on Facebook and Twitter. So that makes the selling experience not as good because you're not going to have the customers. Now, when the market is sky high and everybody can buy anything and flip it, you can probably sell anywhere and be successful. People just want to get in. They're willing to take that chance because they can buy that car for $10 and hopefully sell it the next day for 20. We're not quite in that same market,
Right.
which I'm okay with. I like the more consistent numbers. I believe there's two ways to sell cards. Two good ways to sell cards. Low end cards. Remember, that's what our show is about. And that is card shows and eBay.
Yeah.
Maybe ComC, if you're buying on there and selling on there, not paying their 50 cent per card storage fee, which would be insane on low end cards. You could do some, I did do some business on there for a while and buy and sell, but outside of that, I think eBay is the best place to build a actual card business. What do you consider a dime? I'm sorry?
I said I agreed.
Yeah. What do you consider a dime card or a quarter card? Basically, anything that I don't believe I can sell on eBay for a profit goes in a quarter box, and I'll sell them at a show for a quarter per card for a couple of shows, and then whatever doesn't sell, I end up bringing out to the next show at a dime. So I'm just trying to depreciate them down and move them then at that point. And generally, you can sell pretty good size stacks of dime cards to buyers. So this next show, I'll be doing dimes again because this will be my third dime show. And I haven't really added much into the boxes because I haven't bought a lot of. Generally, my supply of dime and quarter cards comes from buying collections and stuff. If you get them cheap enough, and I have cards out of it that will pay for that purchase, and then the rest I can just flop out at 10 and 25 cents. Sometimes I'll get them from opening boxes, like Charlie said, blasters and stuff, things that are lower end. But really, the boxes that I bought recently, like the Chronicles, it's either all rookie cards or big name players. Most of those don't end up in my dime and quarter boxes. But we'll see. I might have some more stuff to add in there. I actually have some music cards I might want to throw in there. And some other non-sports stuff, which I don't normally put in my boxes, much in my boxes. So there might be some new stuff that way, but yeah, just generally stuff that I don't want to spend any time on because I don't think I can make profit online. So will a Joe Montana base card be in there? No. Will a Chris Jackie 15th year tops kicker card be in there? Yes. Not to pick on Chris Jackie, just doesn't have the market for me to be able to sell that online. Jordan has 1,420 listings currently. Ooh,
Nice.
you guys are like neck and neck.
Yeah.
Dang. Well, Jordan, join us next week, and we'll see where each of you are at next week.
Oh, pressure.
Yeah, I like it. This is fun for me. because either way I win. So
Yeah.
Bill asks, and I just made a comment about this earlier. Do you use a scanner when listing? I do not. 30K, one photo at a time, two photos at a time, because I take a front and a back. Yes, that is correct. How's the team doing, Charlie? How did your team do?
Appreciate the question, Tom. We closed the season at 2-6, so certainly not the wins and losses we were looking for, but we saw some good development. Again, I coach a freshman squad, so the focus isn't on the wins and losses. The focus is on development for the next level. One of the things we looked at after the season, as we've kind of been looking back, of those 8 games we played, 7 of those 8 programs are all in the playoffs this year. So we play in a pretty competitive conference, and even though at the freshman level, no one's in the playoffs, but it says something about these programs we're playing against that, obviously if their varsities are making the playoffs, they're doing things right program wide. So a lot of stiff competition. Our program's in, I think it's fair to say, a rebuilding phase. We continue to see some growth year over year. We're excited about the future with what we're seeing. But 2-6, really struggled down the road the last couple of games, had some key injuries in multiple spots. There were times when we didn't know who we were going to put out there next because the next man up was already, 3 deep sometimes, maybe even 4 deep at some spots. But learned a lot this season.
And this was your first year coaching, right?
First year as a head coach. It's about my 8th season as a coach. So.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I guess I didn't know that. I thought it was your. I think I do remember you saying, I was never a head coach, so I assumed you had some experience. But I guess I didn't realize it was 8 years. That's pretty awesome.
Yeah.
I just Luna's getting into soccer. I don't know if I told you this, but we've been going out a few minutes. I get her on the bus in the morning. We've been going out a few minutes before bus time and just practicing soccer. And I've been showing her how to trap the ball and how to control it and pass, and you don't have to have a full leg swing every time you play the ball. And so that's been interesting. And she's talking about she wants to play this summer.
Nice.
She really wants to play on her little friend's team, and her mom coaches. And I said, well, would you like it if I coached? And she's like, yeah, that would be awesome. But I would probably have to coach with the other girl's mom in order for them to be able to be on the same team. So I don't know, we'll see. I might be coaching some soccer this summer. But that's one of the reasons why I wanted to get into a position in my life now where I can write my own schedule for some of those things. Yeah, I can go to practices, I can pick her up from school and take her to games, and I can get on the bus rides, and I can do some of that. I was self-employed quite a few years ago, like right when I finished college and I wasn't playing soccer anymore, and I coached for a year, and I loved it. And the kids loved me, and they all wanted me back, and I ended up getting back into the workforce at that point. And that's one of the things I kind of regretted ever since, was that I didn't have the time to be able to do that stuff. But now that I have my own kid in it, that's a total game changer. So we'll see. Maybe we'll be talking about soccer coaching and football coaching next year.
Yeah.
And we'll have some not too similar experiences because I'll be coaching 9-year-olds, but it'd be fun to get back into it. I'd really enjoy that. So adding breaks to ComC, probably there isn't enough places to break. At one point I was like, man, I hate these breakers and they're causing the prices to go up and blah, blah, blah. I can't say enough positive things about breaking for my business, because I need people to open those boxes so I can buy the cards at the right price.
Fair enough.
Because once they get the secondary market, it doesn't matter how much the box was.
Yep.
So, and as long as there's a few smaller end blaster products I can buy once in a while to get my pack rip itch um, accomplished, I'm fine with the breakers buying everything else. So that's kind of where I'm at. I don't know. How do you feel about breaking? I don't think you've ever given me like an opinion on it.
So I kind of got excited about it for a while. I participated in a few breaks. I haven't done one in a long time now though, because it's it's like ripping wax, really. It's a gamble.
Mm-hmm.
I usually did like lower dollar ones where I'm throwing in 40 to $60, and most of the time I walked away with a $10 card, and a bunch of commons that, well, not really commons, but cards that weren't going to get the rest of my money back, right? So,
Yeah.
I kind of lost interest in those. Um, I I think it's good for the hobby to have another viable option out there. And to your point, it gets more cards out on the secondary market that some of these other guys don't want, for us to kind of, do what we do with them. So I don't have an issue with it. I will only say it's not really for me. I might do one or
Yeah.
two a year still every once in a while just for some excitement, but I'm I'm not a collector anymore. Like, this has changed me from being a collector to a retailer. And if
Yeah.
I don't see profit in it, I'm rarely going to do it except for just a little fun now and then.
Yeah, I guess I look at it like it's also kind of complicated, right? So you have to
Yeah.
like find a break you want to get into, then you got to pay for it, then you got to know when the break is, then you got to get stuff shipped to you. And I don't know, that's too much just for the chance to get some, I don't
Right.
know. I just I like watching them sometimes because I like to see what the product has to offer, and
But even that
I like
gets
to see
so
a bid.
annoying with the over the top
It does.
reactions.
It does. Yep. There's a lot of drama in that space in the
I'm
hobby, and
shaking.
it is a gambling side, right? You're
Yeah.
buying a little lottery ticket into a box. Um, but gosh, I hope it continues because I think it makes our job that much easier. I've even been to like dealer tables where they're like, "Well, I buy breaks, and these are just all the cards I didn't want out of my
Right.
break," and they're selling them cheap because they already got their fun out of the break. They got their cards they wanted. They need to get rid of this stuff. They need more money to buy into more breaks, right? It's that kind of a little bit of a habit, kind of that
And
habit money. And man, I've gotten some good deals out of some of those boxes.
yeah, and
So,
a lot of the LCS establishments also have a breaking piece of their business. Where
mhm.
do you think all those cards are going that they don't see value in? They're going in their dollar
Yeah,
box, and then we go in there and scoop up the good stuff out of that.
yeah. So I, the only thing I don't like about breaking, or I fear about breaking, is if it grows big enough, they're just going to overprint the cards even more, to be able to supply the
Out there.
products to the breakers. Yeah, and that's the only thing. I just don't want stuff to get too watered down. I'm okay with, some years things are printed more than others. There's more demand, whatever. It kind of all shakes out in the end. And believe it or not, my biggest selling cards are 90s cards. There isn't anything more overprinted than 90s cards.
Yeah.
So over time, there's going to be demand for those anyway. I just sold a 1990 action packed. I was just looking at this on my screen. 1990 action pack Lawrence Taylor card. So just a base card. And I sold a Lawrence Taylor 1992 Fleer card to a buyer. There weren't cards that were more overprinted than that.
Yeah.
One sold for $1.99, the other one sold for $2.99. So I even got decent, pretty good money for them. So just because can be a little bit more readily available doesn't mean that no, those 90s cards were overprinted. But guess what happened to a lot of them? They got thrown out. They
Right.
got trashed. They got traded. The condition wasn't kept. There were printing issues. There was um, there's things that can happen to those cards over time too that can still increase their value.
Mm-hmm.
And people like us, oh, I had that card when I was a kid. I got to have that Lawrence Taylor card again. And now they want to buy one, people getting back into the hobby, that kind of thing. New people getting into the hobby that are like, man, who are some really good defensive players? Well, Lawrence Taylor changed the game.
Yeah.
I can have a couple of cool Lawrence Taylor cards. These are pretty affordable. They aren't printed during his playing years. That's what I want. And so, I don't fear that greatly, but I still want to, like, if breaking just becomes such the boom and it's like 90% of the market, I just feel like the printing would get a little too out of hand then.
Yeah.
So, Tom says he likes to spend a couple hours once or twice a week, take tons of photos so he can do it while he's at a desk job during the day. You got me tripled on listings, so just trying to follow y'all's lead. Yeah, and that's kind of what I did. I just got in where I fit in. I had a desk job. I would list stuff, in between clients or things going on. While I was eating my lunch, I would list cards, and I just kind of kept, pumping some out.
Yep.
You don't have that big of sales when you first start, so most of your listings are just going to be, they're going to add up pretty quick, and then you start getting more sales, and now you got to list more to,
Backfill.
it becomes more cumbersome over time. But yeah, just keep working at it, and you'll keep seeing some growth. And it's a grind. It's just a grind business. If you don't want to be in a grind business, do not sell low end cards.
Yeah.
You ain't gonna make much per card, and if that doesn't work for you, then I don't know. Try to chase down $1,000 cards and see how that works. Maybe that's your path. I know a lot of people who won't get excited by $1.50 card, so they just can't. They can't do the business because they don't like the cards, and then it's not for you. I don't really get excited about $1,000 card because I think those are all super overpriced for the most part. Other than ones for my PC, I can see people buying them for their PC if they're super rare and the card matters, and for that collector and that's fine. But like, oh, this is a Jason Tatum National Treasures napkin card numbered out of $30,000. I'm like, I don't pay $1,000 for that card. I don't know. So yeah, to each his own. That's one of the great parts about this hobby and business. You can specialize in penny cards, and you can specialize in $2 million cards.
Yep.
There's a place for everyone. MI3 Cards just joined us. Howdy, gentlemen. Just noticed you guys were live. Well, welcome. We're happy to have you. Thanks for joining us. Yeah, we're about 2 hours and 48 minutes in. We're at almost our expiration date here.
Yeah.
But thanks for joining us. If you have a chance, this will get. I'm going to say this to everybody, whether you're on here or watching this later, but this does get posted in my regular videos. You can go watch the entire thing, skip through the parts you don't like me talking, or if you want to just hear the goat, you can just skip to all the times when the goat's present, and
Someone say
that can be fun. Yeah, the Stewmeister. So yeah, feel free to watch any prior videos. But yeah, we're here I'm going to say this. I got to do our little commercial here. We're here every Wednesday, 8 o'clock Central Standard Time, 8 o'clock p.m. Central Standard Time live. We encourage chats. We want everybody to participate. That's the point of doing the live. But then they are posted immediately afterwards for anyone to watch at their leisure, or go back and review part of it if you'd like, or go back and read the chat. Chat's gone nuts tonight. We have nowhere near kept up with it, so I'll probably go rewatch this just to read all the chat that I didn't have time to get to because I was talking too much. Shocker there. But yeah, this is what we do every week, and we don't take ourselves too seriously. And just like the Brewers, sometimes we're really good, sometimes we're really bad, right? And just flop out of the playoffs every year. So it happens.
For that.
There's not a lot of argument to that one, right? You know, I had to give my one last shot at Brewer shot. I gotta tell you, Charlie, I had somebody comment on that live where I was kind of razzing you a bunch about
Yeah.
the Brewers. That said, "Oh, normally I like the lives, but why do you got to keep picking on the Brewers?" And I don't, I didn't like that. And I don't know. And I'm like, I promise you, I was just giving Charlie a hard time. I have nothing against. I could care less about the Brewers, and actually, I wish them success. I wish they were there over most of the teams that
Yeah.
are there.
Yeah.
Um,
Just having
but
fun with it.
just having some fun. Well, I'm a Cubs fan. Charlie's a Brewers fan, so it's just a fun little rivalry. And when Cubs win the World Series next year, he's going to give me all kinds of crap about that. It's par for the course. It's all good. It's all good. Anyway, I just thought I'd throw that in there because I didn't want that person to feel like I was giving the team they're a fan of a hard time. That was certainly not. If you were a let's say you're a California Angels fan, I would have gave you the same crap on the Angels side of things, right? I mean, it's just for fun. What's a good price for a full 5-row box of Topps and Bowman rookies, inserts and colors, mostly paper, but some chrome? I'm assuming you're referring to baseball, which is not my forte necessarily. But I actually buy something similar to this. Each year I'll buy not a 5-row, I don't want that much, but I'll generally buy one big, like 800 or 1,000 count box, like a set box of Bowman, Chrome, Color, Refractor, whatever rookies, because I don't follow the prospecting. So, like, something like this, a box like this, right? And I'll try to buy that for like 15, 20 bucks, just so I can get a nice, good chunk of, first Bowmans and things like that. Probably none of the big names are ever going to come in a box like that anyway. So it doesn't really pay for you to look for specific names, but I just do that just so I can get some listed, and it takes care of my baseball prospectors that buy it. And I sell all kinds of cards out of that, and for people I have no clue who their names are or what team they play for
Yeah.
or anything. And I'll buy that when the Bowman HTA stuff comes out, because the HTA is the biggest. That's the big jumbo packs, I think, boxes. Once that stuff comes out, you'll get those a glut of bulk on eBay. You can buy of that, so you can get it pretty cheap. Buy those, list those, and if a player gets big, great. I'll sell a bunch of them, and that's basically where I go with it. I try to buy a little bit of like maybe Top Series 1 or Topps Update or something like that. I might buy a blaster of that just to participate in, trying to get some numbered rookies or something like that, or an auto. But that's about as far as I take it. So to answer your actual question, after doing a lot of talking, a 5-row, if you figure that's 5,000 cards, so 5 of those boxes I just showed you. If I'm going to pay $15 for one of those, I would say times that by 5. Probably looking anywhere from 85 to 100 bucks is probably what I would spend. I don't know if anybody's going to sell you that many for that price, but you can get them for that price on eBay. I've done that the last few years, and that's worked out pretty well for me. Actually, the first year I did it was 2019, 20. What was Julio Rodriguez's first Bowman year?
2 years
Was it
ago,
9?
right?
Right. I thought it
Oh,
was
his
9.
first Bowman?
I thought it was 19. Wasn't it 2019?
Yeah,
2020?
I think you're right.
I don't remember. Whatever year it was, I had bought a prospecting box of that, and I got 2 Julio Rodriguez's in that. Um, that I got. He wasn't as he wasn't that big at that time. Then he got big. Now he's not as big, and now he's kind of big again. um, anyway, but I think I got like 20 or 25 bucks a piece for those. So I made like my box money back on one card. So that's the one kind of beauty in buying something like that in bulk. You should hit on a few of those cards.
Right.
Both players should get called up or do something, but I just want them on there. I don't even want a ton of money for them. Even if they get called up and they start going for more, I don't care. I just want them sold. So that's kind of how I do that. But I wouldn't put much money into that if they're all just like common first Bowman and paper and all that, because 99.9% of those guys are never going to get anywhere.
Yeah.
So, $100 if you're really into it, or there's some numbered stuff in there, or, some autos, and you want to pay up a bit on it, maybe you go as high as 200. But I certainly wouldn't, myself, I wouldn't commit to any more than that on a box like that. I don't, I don't know how do you feel on that, Charlie? You do a lot more baseball than I do, so you speak up here on this one.
I would agree with you. I don't I've never bought a full box, and I don't know if I would unless I started picking through it, and I just couldn't believe how much good stuff I was finding in it.
Yeah.
Because for what we do, there's
Or
really a
if you're pressed
premium.
for time,
Right. Because there's
it could
really
be
a
a good
premium
move.
on what we hand pick, right?
Yeah.
You said it earlier. I don't want to buy a bunch of stuff just to transfer to my own 10-cent box,
Right.
But I think his next question here is he's looking to sell a box like that. So he's trying to figure out what to ask for something like that.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, you're gonna, if it's truly just a bunch of no-namer guys that maybe one day could do something 5 years down the road, I would not expect much for them. There just isn't a lot in that unless you have like super refractors, and then you get some guys pay crazy money for some of those prospects I've never heard of that maybe one day will play in the majors. It's really weird. But there's always, just like in any sport, there's always some kind of like surefire names. Like you got Dominguez, he was big right away when he came out. Ellie De La Cruz, Julio Rodriguez. If you got some of those players, but you're not going to find those guys in those boxes anyway. So they're these wing and a prayer type players. I don't know. Now, what would you ask for them? I mean, if you put them all in a 10-cent box and you really wanted 10 cents a piece, I mean, that's a $500 box then, right?
Yeah.
If it's a 5,000 count box, do you want $500 for them, or are you willing to take 200 if somebody takes the whole box off your hands?
Yeah, and that's where I'd be at.
Yeah.
I think you asked for 225, expecting to maybe get 100 out of it.
Yeah, and that's about what I would pay. I would pay somewhere between that $85 and $100 range, and I would list them just in the hopes and prayers that I get a couple of guys that get something out of that. But I don't buy that nearly that kind of quantity. That's not what I'm looking for each year. I like my little 800 to 1,000 cards that I pay 15 to 20 bucks for. Small investment in my mind, and it just at least gets me some I can list out there that, for my prospecting buyers, I can sell a few cards. So, and will I sit on a bunch of those? Probably. Will a bunch of those end up in my 10-cent boxes? Definitely.
Yeah.
So that's okay. Now this one's for you, Charlie. His Tom Small School went 1-8, so you beat them. Only 69 in the graduating class, so small it's hard for them to even fill a full team now and combine with other local schools.
Yeah.
In certain years. Yeah, if you're a small school, it's really tough to compete.
Might have to look at 8-man.
Yeah. I did break SID.
I think you meant I did.
Oh, I did break for inventory, and maybe I was a little addicted. Yeah, that kind of happens to people.
Yeah.
Oh, it did. Yeah, he corrects it over here. Problems with brakes is it's too expensive for all the people who were in this before the boom used to get into brakes for next to nothing. Better products because you're not buying the whole box. I get it. And you're right, the prices have gone up, but I can say that about every damn single thing that I spend money on these days.
Yeah.
Everything has gone up. I can't think of one thing that hasn't gone up in the last 2 years. So some of that's just an inflationary measure as well. You have to look at the general economics when you're measuring something like that. It didn't just go up because there was a boom.
Yep.
Now, brakes can be an expensive lesson. Glad I learned. The opening sealed in Magic the Gathering, where prices were pretty consistent for years. So I was over it by the time I got into sports cards. Yeah, you had your fun when the prices were low, so that was good. Can we encourage spending more money with dealers? Almost all of them reinvest in the hobby and break to supply their boxes and to provide cards for the low just to recoup and do it all over again. Yeah, absolutely. It's when I say breaking, I don't just mean, online breakers. I'm talking dealers who break boxes, card shops who break boxes. Break, 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 break. I'm all for that. Product doesn't get open. There's no way we can do what we do. So yeah,
Yep.
100% CR. I agree with you. I appreciate the dealers. I even made a video recently where I had bought the Santa Claus cards and I bought them at my local dealer, my local card shop. I go there to buy some of my supplies that I don't need a lot of, and I'd rather buy them from them. They generally have good prices. I can give some local business, and yeah, they sell packs of cards to kids in the area who get them into the hobby, and then they come to our shows and they buy them at the shows, and then they're reselling. And yeah, absolutely.
Yep.
Bill wants to know, after you list your cards, how do you organize them? Team, set, or alphabetical? Yeah, that's kind of an ever evolving process for me. It depends on how many cards of what that I have. Um, so let's say, for example, these cards, right? I just showed these earlier, these 2022 Chronicles cards. I'm not going to organize these by set because I have like 50 cards.
Yeah.
What would be the point of that? 99% of my cards at this point are listed by player because I focus on players that I buy that resell well for me. So I'll have a spot of Bo Jackson stuff in the drawer, and a spot of Dion, and a spot of um, Derek Jeter, and a spot of Ronald Acuna, and a spot of Wayne Gretzky. Like, that's how I do it. It's by players that I have multiples of. Then I have what I call a not big name players section for each sport. So for football, I might have like one row in my drawer where it's like just random low numbered cards of players that I don't have a lot of, that don't have a big hobby. Like I sold a Matt Ryan Obsidian numbered card today. I got it really cheap, quarter. It's a numbered card. I knew I could find a Matt Ryan buyer out there. Obsidian is a cool, not highly printed set. Sold it for $3.50. Made a decent return on it. But I'm not going to have a Matt Ryan section in my card
Right.
drawers because I just don't buy them and I don't stock them. It was just a random card that I came across. But it doesn't go in my quarter or my dime box because I can get more than that. I can sell it online for a profit. So it still needs to go in my drawers and be listed. Does that make sense? Hopefully that kind of defines how I do it. Now, the players that I have tons of, like Favre, for example, which is my biggest amount of inventory, it wouldn't behoove me to just split it by name since I have 25,000 cards. That doesn't make it easy to find. So then I split it down by year. So I have his 1992 cards and his 93 cards and 94 cards. And then I still have a good number of each of those, but I can flip through them pretty quick and find what I need.
Yeah,
Uh-huh.
for me, I kind of establish a break point. I'm still, like we said, 1433 I'm at, so I haven't even filled a monster box yet with my listings. For me, if I get to about a half a row on any one category, so by category I mean specific sport, or if it's non-sport, a specific theme like Star Wars or The Simpsons or
Mm-hmm.
whatever. If I get to half a row, I go to a more stringent organization process. Like
Yep.
my baseball and football, I've got a full row or more of each of those. Those are all alphabetical. I can grab one out of there pretty quick when I sell it. If it's less than a half a row, I use no organization at all other than to keep that category together, because I can literally
You
just grab a
know
handful
where
and
it is.
quickly
Yeah.
slide through them and say,
Yep.
there it is.
Yep.
But that will change over time as I continue to expand. I'll eventually go to alphabetical on everything, I imagine. And to Adam's point, if I reach a point where I have, 2,500 Bo Jackson cards, I will probably set all those aside on their own and then organize them by year or brand, whatever it may be.
So here's my take on organization. Okay, because you can be over organized. That is a real thing, like OCD level organized. And Charlie knows I don't like to do any more than I have to. Do I, Charlie?
You do not.
I do not. I do not. I do not like wasted time. You have to decide when do you want to spend that time on that card when it sells, right?
Yeah.
If it sells. So let's say you list 1,000 cards, right? How much time do you want to spend sorting those now when they might not sell for 5 years, 4 years, whatever it takes? I would rather keep my organization. I want to be organized because I still want to be able to find my stuff, but I don't want to over organize it and spend all that time on a card that maybe won't sell for a long time. Do you see what I'm saying? And when I go to fill orders, let's say I sell 3 Bo Jackson cards. I don't know which 3 those are going to be. So even if I organize them all, spend all that time in organizing them all, they might still not sell in that type of an order, if that makes sense. So you might still be kind of randomly pulling those cards anyway. Is that, do you get what I'm saying?
No.
Okay.
Not that time.
So let's say you take your Bo Jackson cards and you organize them down to these are all the Fleer cards, these are all the Upper Deck cards, these are all the. Well, you might sell 1 Upper Deck card, 1 Fleer card, and 1 Topps card.
Yeah.
Right. So, is there any benefit to organizing them then by brand versus I just grab a stack and okay, here's the Topps card, here's the Upper Deck card, and here's the Fleer card?
Yeah,
you know what I
to
mean?
me, yeah, because then I'm just going to grab my handful of Fleer cards and I can quickly grab that one out of there. And then I'm going to go grab my handful of Topps cards and grab that versus having them all intermingled. Now I've got to grab that entire, row of cards and find those out of there.
But aren't you not grabbing that entire row of cards anyway? Because you're grabbing the Upper Deck chunk, then you're grabbing the Fleer chunk, then you're grabbing the Topps chunk.
So
you see what I'm saying?
The chances that I handle more cards without organizing is probably like 80-90%. If I organize it, the chances of me minimizing the number of cards I handle is infinitely greater. Now, all that said, here's a little tip for everyone that Adam and I joke about all the time. No matter how you organize it, you're going to run into times when you can't find that card, even though you spent that time organizing it. So just get prepared for that as well.
But that's my point in how much time do you want to spend organizing now versus the time you have to spend to pull the card.
But that's what we're only talking about when we pull the card. He's talking about after you list it.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct. But I don't know. You're going to spend time pulling cards no matter what. You're going to spend time organizing cards no matter what.
Yes.
I would rather spend more time pulling the cards than organizing the cards because there's a ton of cards in there that may not sell.
Sure.
And I don't like to spend time on things that I'm not going to have a sale on.
Yeah, I think I'm more OCD than you.
Yeah, you are. That's accurate. Yeah. So he asked how I do it. That's my, that's my perspective on it. And it's worked really well for me. It doesn't take me a lot. I'm like, it's not that I don't have any organization. That would be insanity with 32,000 listings. Right. But like, I don't know. And then a lot of times the stuff that is newly listed, I don't even organize at all and put away for a little while because I'll sell a bunch of those right away and I can just simply grab them out of the stack on my desk. So why spend all the time writing up a new card and putting it somewhere in the drawer and moving stuff around so that I can fit all that inventory when it's something that I'm going to pull out right away.
Yeah.
So
The
there's a
simple truth
balance. There's a
is the simple truth is there's a million permutations of how you could organize it. The right answer is what's right for you.
correct.
Adam and I do things very different, but I can attest I've been in Adam's card room and we talk about a card and he can find it in 30 seconds, even though his organization process is entirely different from mine.
Right. Yeah, and all you're exactly, you hit the nail on the head. Organization is personal. So
Yeah.
you have to do what's gonna fit for you, and um yeah, just make sure you're organized enough that you can find stuff and then stop at that. Don't
Yeah.
get so OCD about it that you're making a tab for every single card you've ever listed in your entire life. You're going to be wasting a lot of time. That was my point.
Yeah. That's
Just
fair.
try not to over organize. That's time you could spend listing cards. That's time you could be spending creating a brand logo. That's time you could be spent communicating with your customers. Those have great values as well.
Yeah, and I will tell you that, 6 months in, I've tried a couple different methods before I got something I was comfortable with. There is a little
Mhm.
trial and error in that when you're starting out, but eventually you'll find what works for you.
And it's going to change over time because what you do, like you just said, what I do for my organization for 1,400 cards is not going to be the same when I have 10,000 cards. It
Right.
can't be. It can't
Right.
be. There's no way that could be successful. So anyway, I think we're at 3 hours and 11 minutes.
We are.
Yeah.
It feels like we could do 5 hours tonight.
Yeah. So I said 6 jokingly earlier, and we're over that half mark already on that one. So so we really appreciate it. The chat was super fire tonight. It's been growing every week. We really like that. We're happy to be a place where people can ask questions and chat amongst themselves and get to know each other in this community, this low end card community that needed its place. We felt like wasn't really being provided before. We thought this would be a good opportunity for us to do a show and get all of us weirdo low end people involved and have a place to call our own. So, but again, don't forget every Wednesday, 8 o'clock, 8 o'clock Central Standard Time. We will be here. Charlie will not miss another one. I promise you of that. Stu will never miss one ever. He's always on. He's always ready for the show.
He lives for this.
This is literally all he does. I mean, like, there's no argument to that. He sits on that desk until Wednesday night showtime.
He's so quiet all week, and then Wednesday night hits, and all I hear is
he gets lit on Wednesday, that's for sure. So
right.
Yeah. But anyway, thanks again so much for joining us. We hope to see you next week. Go ahead, organize your cards, list your cards. We've got a fun challenge between Tom and Charlie here on a little listing challenge for next week. So I'm hoping to get those numbers in next week's show, and we can see where everybody's at.
It wasn't Tom. I think it was Jordan Brown, right? We're both
Was it Jordan?
Like a little over 1,400. Yeah.
Oh, I thought that was Tom.
No.
Let's see. You're right. It was Jordan. Even better. So we got a new guy on here that we can have a challenge with. So Jordan, you better be here next week because we're going to be expecting your numbers. Pressure's on. I'll let you know where I'm at too. Not that it's where you guys are, but I think it's fun to update our listing numbers once in a while. It's kind of a nice provide some fire, right?
Yeah.
Fire, so. All right. Well, thanks so much, Charlie, for joining me. I'm glad you were able to make it this week.
Yep. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, and have a happy Halloween. If we don't see any of you next week, Halloween's coming up, so I want to wish everybody that fun holiday. We have some fun activities going on here. Charlie, you got something going on pretty soon, so.
Pumpkin carving. We do
pumpkin
it every
carving.
year. Yeah.
Pumpkin carving. We got a couple parties to attend. We got trick-or-treating, some fun trick-or-treating stuff going on here. This Saturday, we have our homeowners associations doing our haunted woods. Ooh. That's a good one. Yeah, so we set up little stations and little haunted things throughout the woods. It's really fun. So I'm looking forward to that. But otherwise, hopefully you can all join us next week, and we'll see you then.
Peace out.